years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Chili's 2 for $25 is back. Start with an appetizer to share. Then choose 2 entrees like our mouth-watering old-timer with cheeseburger or the Cajun chicken pasta, grilled chicken with penne and Alfredo sauce, and chili spices. Feeling extra? Upgrade to a personal fajita or our famous half-rack ribs. Bring a friend or a date to Chili's and get 2 entrees for $25. Located on the 2nd floor of Tumon Sands Plaza. Chili's. More life happens here.
And good morning. It's 6:06. I'm Mana Silva Tyron, and here are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. A substituted version of Bill 181, which seeks to create a Guam War Claims Fund, may have moved to the voting file for yesterday's session, but not without objections from several lawmakers who believe there wasn't a fair opportunity to discuss changes to the measure. There's no cap, and it's pretty much a blank check, said Senator Therese Terlahi, who objected on the session floor when her colleagues went to vote to move the bill to the voting file. She says the bill is completely different, the funding source is completely different, and her fundamental objection is passing the bill without any discussion. Terlahi raised her objection on the floor, asking why the substitute version would not have first been discussed in the Committee of the Whole so the administration and the Bureau of Budget Management Research could provide input on how they intend to fund the measure. She had asked her colleagues to allow for a review of the substitute version and discussion on the measure, but was told that she was out of order by Speaker Tina Muñoz-Barnes, who said the motion for the vote had already been made. Particularly, Senator Terlahi took issue with the removal of a $7.5 million cap that was in the original legislation to pay adjudicated claims and the funding source for the transfer of the money. Terlahi later told the Guam Daily Post that she was appalled by the action and couldn't see the rush. She was now asking which agencies are going to be impacted by the transfer. The Office of the Speaker issued a statement on the substitute version that stated the only substantive change that was granting the governor to pay the claims adjudicated as of the measure's passage from available general fund proceeds. Chirag Bajwani, who's Speaker Barnes' communications director, said before the local government pays the federally adjudicated claims, the claimants would need to sign over the claim to the government of Guam so it would recoup the money from Washington. He also suggested that an MOU between GovGuam and the federal government mandated by the substitute version of the bill would prevent a double payment. However, details of that MOU and how it would be carried out were not outlined in the new bill, raising even more concerns and questions with Terlahi and Senator Jim Moylan. Another hot point from yesterday's session was the objection raised to placing Bill 249 on the agenda. That bill by Senator Kelly Marsh would provide funding for the Festival of the Pacific Arts to the agenda. Senators Tello Taitagui and Talena Nelson objecting to that move. Taitagui saying that they were not notified of the bill being put on the agenda, and Nelson says they have more pressing matters to address. Marsh said her bill needs to be passed by December 20th, as that's the deadline to buy discounted airline tickets for participants. Doing so, she says, will save tens of thousands of dollars for the government of Guam. Drug-fueled crime remains a critical threat to public safety for many across the island, such as for one man who attended a public safety forum in Mongmong Totamaiti. Jesse Mendiola, who said that he was released from a federal prison after doing time for a drug conviction 2 years ago. He spoke to attendees. He says he remains on federal probation until next year and is a recovering drug addict. His concern is with game rooms and how they serve as a congregating point for drug users. He adds addiction is responsible for a lot of the local violent crimes. Now, the forum was hosted by MTM Mayor Rudy Paco, who also organized this event with Senator Jim Moylan and allowed comments provided by residents. It was the same village, though, where a car was stolen just a day before, along Roy T. Damian Street. Peter Alexis Ada also at the discussion stated his vehicle was stolen around 9:30 on Tuesday morning while parked in front of his yard. It's a 2014 silver Kia Forte. It was stolen from his front yard while he was out back. He's now pleading with thieves to return the car and the contents. Ada saying his lawnmower and his wife's purse, as well as some other personal items, were in the vehicle, along with a Fatima statue, which he holds dear. Mayor Paco, meanwhile, encourages the community to take an active role in the village's Neighborhood Watch program. We'll have more news after this.
Cocoa Coffee Company is now available at Circle K. Single origin coffee beans, carefully sourced and locally roasted to give you the freshest cup of coffee Guam has to offer. Grab a cup that's brewed every 30 minutes or purchase a bag of the locally roasted whole beans. Flavors now serving: light medium roasted Ethiopia and medium dark roasted Jamaican Blue Mountain. Exclusively available at Circle K. With every Cocoa Coffee Company purchase, a portion of the proceeds will go towards the Cocoa Recovery Program.
Ever notice how that one perfect holiday gift is just out of reach? Or how sales on the stuff you want all come at the same time? This season, plan ahead with a holiday loan from First Hawaiian Bank. Now you can afford to be nice without being naughty. For more details, visit FHB.com or any branch to apply. Additional restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Pictures and video of his apparent arrests have been widely circulated. The images of the arrest of Richard A. Gapison, who Jr. was taken into custody after he picked up a package from the post office containing 3 pounds of ice. A federal criminal complaint was filed in the federal court against Gapison. According to court documents, he was found in possession of a package that contained 1,355 grams of methamphetamine that had been sent to him from California. Gapison was arrested at the Barragata post office after he picked up the package and left the building on Tuesday afternoon. Federal authorities, after obtaining a warrant, placed a tracking device inside the parcel. A yellow slip was then placed in Gapison's post office box. It was around 11 a.m. that he brought the yellow slip to pick up the package at the window and presented identification. He was stopped while trying to leave in his white Mitsubishi Outlander. During an interview with Homeland Security investigators and Guam Customs officers, Gapison allegedly admitted that he knew the package contained meth, stating also that he'd received 2 packages of meth from the facility, the first one arriving a few months ago, containing approximately 3 pounds of methamphetamine. The criminal complaint charges Gapison with attempted possession of methamphetamine with the intent to distribute. Department of Corrections Colonel Alan Borja was served adverse action on December 10th following an internal affairs investigation at the department and an investigation by Guam Police. Borja is accused of refusing to perform his prescribed duties, insubordination, and other misconduct not specifically listed. According to the Guam Federation of Teachers representative Robert Koss, he has until December 20th to respond to the adverse action. Borja is being disciplined for talking to the Guam Daily Post on September 25th, which is the day Joey Terlahi resigned as prison deputy, and GPD's Joe Carbolito was tapped to fill his position in an acting capacity. The Post reached out to Borja that day for comment to the appointment, to which he said they were surprised in the change of leadership and they thought the selection would be in-house, but they respected the decision of the governor. He also responded to the allegations made against Terlahi in the case against indicted Jotnya Mayor Jesse Blas, stating Borja continued to hold the title of DOC warden, but then was temporarily reassigned to the Department of Parks and Recreation while he is under police investigation. Borja and others were placed on leave after the escape of 2 halfway house inmates back in October. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
It says here mostly sunny, Mana, and breezy with isolated showers. There's northeast winds, 15 to 25 miles an hour, decreasing a bit this evening. Highs near 87 degrees, and overnight lows of about 77 degrees. I tell you what is so cool in the last couple of nights, I haven't run the air conditioning. It's just been
very cool.
Gorgeous, yes.
And windy.
5:57 for sunset tonight. Tell the others, and sunrise this morning should be about 6:37 a.m. We'll take a look at the weather radar. Michael Knight will give you an idea of just what kind of junk this is on the screen. What am I looking at?
Well, we've got some interference on the radar site. We can just forget about all of that. Actually, there's no rain over us right now. A little bit to the northwest. Got another little string of rain down to the southeast as well. That's actually associated with a very weak tropical disturbance. It's passing very far to our south. It's been designated 98W, and they're actually thinking that may bring some rain over to the Philippines next week sometime.
Okay.
For us, not too much. We might get, looks like we might get clipped by some of these showers, but it's not going to be anything really big. It'll remove through fairly quickly because we got a lot of wind out there blowing stuff through. Looking at the satellite here real quick, you can see the pointer. We're in kind of a slot of fairly dry air, so some of those clouds could move in, and they'll probably just dry themselves out as they come on through, and then the sun's going to come up a little bit later and help out with that as well. For us, today will be just like yesterday. Sunshine and nice breeze and maybe a shower or two.
Gotcha. 6:16, that's news and weather together, brought to you by Bank Pacific. Banking on the Pacific for 65 years.
Live the balanced lifestyle. Take Care Insurance offers proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage individuals and families to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle through preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing and unwinding, and being socially connected. They have the island's largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs for all ages. Join the movement. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram or visit takecareasia.com to learn more.
A diamond ring turns into a black pearl and hangs shimmering in the sky.
Join 93.3 The Point for a spectacular celestial event. On the evening of December 26th, a rare solar eclipse will take place just before sunset.
We see the sun's atmosphere, normally not visible.
Most of the sun will be blocked during the eclipse, leaving only a ring of fire visible, and we have the best seats and the safest way to watch it.
It's one of the great wonders of the solar system.
Join us at the Point Coffee Lounge at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort from 4 to 6 p.m. on December 26th. The first 100 guests will receive a pair of Eclipse viewing glasses, a complimentary glass of iced tea, and a coupon good for discounts at Sheraton's Surfers Point Bar or La Cascada Buffet Restaurant. Join us for the Point's 2019 Eclipse Viewing Party, December 26th from 4 to 6 p.m. at the beautiful Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort. Brought to you in part by Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort, Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro, and your sky-watching friends at 93.3 The Point.
Skywatchers, happy birthday to them. Happy birthday to Wendy's, celebrating their 50th anniversary with a brand new birthday cake, a Frosty, and the birthday cake Frosty, right, check this out. It's a birthday cake Frosty cookie sundae, available only for a limited time. Happy birthday to Wendy's and sweet treats for everybody on Guam. Let's get this party started at Wendy's. Now, that's better. Portions of the Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by the guys over at APL, American President Lines, global presence with a local home.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Gotta wipe that silly grin off my face. That's what I gotta do. We gotta get into some serious talk radio here this morning. At some point, I don't know when it's going to be, but it's every once in a while we gotta do the serious stuff here. It's the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. My name is Ray Gibson, joined Mike side by my baby sister Mona Silva Tyron, and she'll take care of all of the news responsibilities provided by our friends over at the Guam Daily Post. And there's just a ton of interesting stuff here on the front page. I'll get around to doing that. Good morning. How doing here? What now? You brought me. Mona brought me. It's so cool to be working with family.
You and Mike. I brought Mike.
Oh, you brought
it
some for
wasn't
Mike?
just
Yes,
you.
I did.
Mike doesn't have any teeth. What do you
Yeah, true.
Yes.
He's got to chew hard food on one side of his mouth.
I can treat it like a chew, man. I just pop it between my cheek and gum and let it soften up.
That's sweet. So we've got some Tita's Goods-eria.
Yes.
Okay, now
we've been talking about
the burglary. I mean, the robbery that she had in the last couple of days in the news. So
I went and got Goods-eria.
okay. This is, incidentally, the good stuff.
Yes.
So see, now I'm
the
going
good stuff.
to be making noise with the bag all morning long.
Well, he's been tossing it all over the place.
Well, no, it's every once in a while. It's technology, and the technology sometimes works in your favor, and sometimes you got to wrestle with it a little bit, and restart things. So I had to do some restarting, and this was in the way, so I moved it, and I didn't throw it. I just moved it.
And see, I'm just a highly sensitive
It makes
person.
a lot of noise because it's
So if you
Gooseria.
frown and you just frown at me.
Well, I don't.
I just take it so personally.
It's the
I
fun of
figured
working.
it was because you're sour because of your lemon shirt.
Do those go with beer?
No, it
Yes,
yes.
everything goes with beer. What are you talking about?
Yeah, who's this guy? Where did we find you? That's the voice of Michael Knight, Duke Sky Talkers at Worry. He'll keep an eye on the weather and crazy excited about something that we've got coming up. It's a week from tomorrow. No, it's a week from today, Thursday night. This time Thursday, we'll all be over at the Sheraton watching this incredible cosmic event. And I'm characterizing it as a sunset eclipse of the sun.
Yeah, and for the most part it is. I mean, the eclipse will reach its near totality about an hour before sunset, which is close enough.
Close enough. So get out there. I mean, you're going to want a sunset hunt anyway, and we're all going to be over at the Sheraton, and I've got eclipse glasses for the first 100 people that are going to be showing up, and there's going to be beer, and maybe even some Gooseria. We'll call Tita and see if we can get some Gooseria around there and test the theory that Gooseria and beer go together. So we got Michael Knight's going to take care of that. He'll answer the phone when you call at 888-8255. That's 888-TALK is the telephone number around here. 988-5874 is our WhatsApp. Now, Ken Leon Guerrero, the other Governor Leon Guerrero, and I found out from some people they really, really like it when I say that. The other Governor Leon Guerrero is may even chime in this morning, but he sent me an image on the WhatsApp here, and this is what it looked like yesterday over at the legislature. For those of you that are watching, a little bit of a zoo-like atmosphere. You know, legislative fairy dust, and you got the barking baboons there. Yeah. Oh my God, what a circus! I've got the video for those of you that missed it, and we're all sitting around on the kind of the I don't want to say it's the family chat, but it was there's more than one or two of us that were sitting around while the legislature was in session yesterday, and some of the remarks that were flying around on just our own regular chat was kind of amusing, and then we got the chat that was going on the speakers page. Are you a member of the speakers?
I am not.
Okay, I'll ask Chirag to add you, although the great amount of the fireworks was yesterday. Hey, no problem. But the fun was yesterday with virtually everybody in the media going, wait, hold on just a minute. Where did this come from? When did they discuss the changes and all of these other things? And is this a blank check for somebody to start writing against what funds? Mm-hmm. And now tell me about this memorandum of understanding that we have between that we're supposed to get between the government of Guam and the federal government of the United States. Frankly, it already exists in law that Michael Nicholas is trying in Washington, D.C. to fill in just that last little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm only a bill. So it very, very interesting. The members of the media didn't even get a copy. No, in fact, I don't think members of the minority, anybody that wasn't Speaker Tina Munoz Barnes and Joe Nicholas and whoever, I don't think anybody else got a copy of the legislation until after it was adopted for the third reading file over at the legislature. So I'm curious. I'm watching this thing and I'm looking at it, and it feels like parliamentary bullying that was going on yesterday over at the legislature. You've been in the legislature.
Well, I wasn't watching, so I can't really say what was happening.
I'll play it for you.
Okay.
I'll play it for you.
Right.
I'll play it when we do play-by-play on what was going on over at the legislature. But it's like whoever's. I mean, I understand the powers of the majority in the legislature, but when you've got Tina that's actually snuffing out a member of her own party and a member of the majority and any of the concerns that Therese Terlai had, that was kind of interesting to watch as well.
Yeah, and members, just from a citizen's perspective, you're looking and saying, well, why aren't you given the opportunity? Why can't we talk about this? What is the rush?
Yeah. Well, the rush is going. They're going to say the rush is these war claim survivors and their claims have been adjudicated.
I mean, I can understand the rush on Mike Nicholas's side because there is a deadline of December 20th, but there really isn't a deadline here.
And it's interesting. I'll play the video for you a little bit.
To at least have a conversation. To answer the questions,
Come
there
on
are
now.
questions being
their
raised.
deadline is just to do it before Mike does. That's their
or to subvert anything that Mike is doing.
Right.
I mean, for a lot of people that are observing what was going on over at the legislature, it was an attempt, clear attempt to cause trouble for Mike in the Senate so that he would fail on the war claims deal out there. I mean, there's a lot of people that feel that way, that was the design, the desire, and the goal was to subvert any chances for that bill making it out of Congress safely. Anyway, we'll talk about that and play more. In the meantime, we got to get to talking about these superheroes.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
And one of the ladies that everybody knows around here, her name, Pam Duvall, is online wishing her sister, Candy, a happy birthday to her one and only blood sister, and that makes us family as well. So if you've got any really cool recipes, you're more than welcome to cook it up and bring it by the radio station. Like Pam did. Did you try any of the pumpkin pies that she made yesterday?
No, I didn't.
She even brought whipped cream.
I didn't see the whipped
cream. There was whipped cream. She brought the whipped cream on top of that.
I was kind of in a hurry to leave yesterday morning, so I didn't get a chance to stop.
See how much she likes
I said. 6:26 in the morning. All right,
stuff to do.
Ismael is back at the top of our list this morning of the early morning Facebook livers. Here he got in first, beating out James Howard, Sherry Iriarte, Al Bautista, and Anita Muffness with the pretty Valentine's eyes. That rounds out the top 5. Moving into the top 10, Nate Horn, Rico Blancaflor, John Rages, Keenan McCausland from out in Washington, and from right around here, Marilou Barsimon, who might have sent me a couple of videos that I can play for you a little bit later on. She's also got a pretty good handle on viral videos that move through her phone to make sure they get to mine. I got Jess Mendiola saying, "Good morning, Jess. You're being quoted in the Guam Daily Post today. Issues with the rampant amount of crime and crystal methamphetamine, and the idea that the game rooms in the villages are actually congregating points for some of these guys." Interesting stuff. Margaret Bloss is online, says, Buenos Ray, former Senator Mana, and staff of The Point have a safe morning. Well, considering, Margaret, that we're already here in the building, this is as safe as we're going to be for a few more hours. Ruth Stir is there. Big Sister Shelley is saying, "Hi, my family. I'm home."
Is she home?
She's home. She says she's home.
Welcome home, Mary.
Passed by the house yesterday, and the dogs were outside of the gate. Yeah, I pondered stopping and putting them back in. And I said,
guys were there.
Not my monkey, not my zoo. I got James Howard saying thumbs up to Jesse here. I got June Bells Carino. Nice to see you guys online this morning. Frank Chargaloff and there's Pam and Bennett. Auntie Bennett from Family Finance is online this morning. Brendan Glazer says, "I agree with those game rooms. 3 o'clock in the morning in Zonia, the game room is blasting, and it ain't pachinko." And Dennis says, "So let me get this right. You get a percentage of the war claims, you sign over your claim to the government of Guam, and when GovGuam gets the federal money, you need to trust that the full amount will be paid by GovGuam at a later date." Seems like too much trust in there. And that may only seem like what the bill purports to do. I read it yesterday after they finally sent it to members of the media. I read it yesterday, and I started to scratch my head, going, I'm not sure what it is how this is going to solve the problem of getting the monies. I mean, you get Section 30 money that is supposed to be coming in, and then the government of Guam is going to pay from the existing Section 30. I'm not even sure if that's the funding source now. I mean, we'll take a look at it again and see what we got. CJ Silva is online this morning. Nice to see Gary Shawnalls online.
It's afternoon there.
Gary Shawnall says, "Deport." Yeah, I don't think, Gary, that this administration has deported anybody. It was in vogue and in fashion when Governor Eddie Jerome Baza Calvo was the governor of Guam. Starting to miss him, aren't you? And they were deporting a whole bunch of people in his time, but I don't think this administration has deported anybody. I guess they like to have thugs around. Tony and Annette and Pinko Ada are online this morning, and I'm sure, like everybody else, lamenting the fact that their brother, Peter, had his car stolen. Uncle Pete had his car stolen from what, like right in front of the house. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
uncle, not brother.
Oh, Uncle. That's okay. You're right. But anyway, yeah, Uncle Pete. Our Uncle Pete had his car stolen. More on that a little bit later on. And we've got Candy Knudsen Guzman saying good morning and thanks. And everybody, Napu Uggan. Wow, haven't seen that name on live for a while. Happy Thursday, Thirsty Day, everyone. Have a great day. Marian Tyron St. Nicholas. Good morning to you. Pedro Santos is online. There's Nate and Pam and Lillian Cruz is there. And Tom Tahazi is playing around. So is Joey Franquez, Jackie Borja Cabrera. Hey, how you doing there? I see you. JZ Tatninglu is online. And so is, let me say, the problem is they're all talking to each other online here this morning. And I'm going, wait, I gotta get some new names in here. Songi Guam is there. LMFAO. I like that image. Maybe I should share a GIF. Well, here's the image that he's talking about. Again, this is the one that we got from Ken Leon Guerrero, and I'll leave that up there for a second so you can zoom in on it in your phone and see the poo-flinging that went on yesterday over at the legislature.
Unfortunately, these are our monkeys, and it is our zoo.
Yes, that is that. Nate Horn says, hey, these Festpac tickets ain't going to pay for themselves, Ray. Yeah, I know. Does that feel like that's going to get ramrodded as well? Chick bullying, but they still amateurs, just a bunch of punks and posers out there.
Shelley wrote that.
Yep. Says, you're out of order. This is not a debatable issue, says Tina Rose Munya Barnes. Now, that is some political terrorist move right there. We're being bullied and disrespected. Yeah, well, I'll get around to tell you what. On the other side of the newscast, I'll play the video and the audio for you so you can see and hear what the action was like over at the legislature. It might be a little bit, I don't know, it might be a little bit like watching the sausage get made, but I think it's important to see just how you've got a certain number of people that are in power over at the legislature and the steps that they will take to make sure, no matter what, and no matter what the size, the caliber of the argument is going to be, that they're able to get their paperwork onto the floor of the legislature, and it's going to get voted on by the majority, and that's all there is to it. And they already know that the governor is going to sign off on it. The governor has telegraphed that and said so right out there in the open, that's exactly what's going to take place. So we'll defer now to a little bit of headline news with news from the Guam Daily Post and Montesilva Tyron. I'll play that video for you next.
There are still lingering questions over a measure that was pushed through seeking to pay out a fraction of the war claims, but the bill placed on the voting file nonetheless. Bill 181 would use local funds to pay war reparations. Senators feel they were rushed and denied a chance to talk about all of the significant changes to the bill. A federal criminal complaint was filed in the federal court against Richard Gapison. Gapison was found in possession of 3 pounds of methamphetamine that was sent to him in a parcel from California. The arrest seen on a viral video and pictures that were sent throughout the media and social media yesterday. Department of Corrections Colonel Alan Borja, the warden, was served in adverse action on December 10th following an internal affairs investigation at DOC and an investigation by GPD. Borja is accused of refusing to perform his prescribed duties, insubordination, and other misconduct not specifically listed. He has until December 20th to respond to his adverse action. Borja and others were placed on leave after an escape of 2 halfway house inmates back in October. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, log on to their website at postguam.com.
It's 6:33 in the morning, and there is also another piece of news here I have received from the White House in Washington, D.C., the land of the tall Quonset hut, the home of our great white fathers. President Donald J. Trump announces intent to nominate and appoint individuals to key administration posts. And kind of a longish kind of email that comes out of the White House. And I'll get to the parts where it makes it talks about Guam. The following individuals to be members of the President's Advisory Commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. And it's going to be people we've never heard of, with a couple of exceptions. Paul Shue of Florida, Michelle Park Steele of California, Keiko Matsudo Oral of Massachusetts, Helen Van Eaton of Kansas, Jennifer Carnahan of Minnesota. Well, maybe you do know some of these people. I don't know. Yeah, Jennifer. You know Jennifer Carnahan. Yeah, you used to drive your mom used to have the yellow VW, you remember?
Yeah.
And there's Grace Lee of Michigan, George Lang of Colorado, Jan Lei Lau of Nevada, Herman Martyr of Texas. There's a couple of Indian names that I'm not even going to try. How about this one? We know this one. Amata Coleman Radowagon of American Samoa. You don't know Amata? That's Fred Radewiggins' wife.
Oh, Amata.
She's the representative from American Samoa. Okay, and then we got a couple of other names here. This one I think you'll recognize. Edward Jerome Calvo of Guam. Eddie Jerome Baza Calvo has been nominated to sit on this position, as has Doris Flores Brooks. Is on this. So they're going to be representing Guam in the President's Advisory Commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. So go Guam. 6:35, that's iConnect time. Go to iConnect or call them up at 888-8888 and ask them about cost savings and things that you can do with their internet, mobile, and push-to-talk plans in the coming year.
As the busy holiday season approaches, the last thing on your mind is to visit your medical provider. At American Medical Center, we put your health first. A preventative visit will ensure a healthy holiday season. Call 647-8262, and together we can address any concerns you may have and make certain all your medications are current. From our family to yours, happy holidays from American Medical Center, your partner in healthcare.
Are you ready for some football? The Ray Gibson Show has got your fix every day with the Points NFL Pick'em Contest. Get the latest updates as we check out the past week's performance and break down the upcoming action. Get your game on by calling the hotline at 888-TALK or sound off on Facebook Live at thepoint.gu. League members get a chance to win some awesome weekly prizes with a shot for your choice of a new GTA phone. The NFL Pick'em Contest is brought to you by Current Guam with special thanks to GTA.
Traffic heading up the overpass on Route 16. That looks like it's moving a little bit slow just before you get to the intersection of 16 and is it 16 and 10 Alpha, right over by the upstairs 76 Circle K. We call that one the upstairs because there's one at the downstairs. You got upstairs on the Ocean Vista and then downstairs at Marine Corps Drive. That's the only place where it looks like traffic is doing any kind of slowing down. Don't see anything heavy that's going to make you crazy up in the Gigo and Dededo area right now. Give me another 45 minutes, and I think things are going to start to rough up the intersection of Route 1 and 3 and Harmon Loop Road and Marine Corps Drive, etc. But other than that, things moving rather smoothly this morning. 6:36 Thursday morning traffic. Right now, traffic here on The Point.
Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro brings you island hospitality with a true taste of modern Chamorro cuisine. A bistro look that feels like home. Their menu features local and traditional flavors with a twist. From their famous Calaguan Hafa to fresh ahi poke salad and their award-winning barbecue ribs. Mescla takes your favorite local dishes and serves them with extra flair that you'll only find at Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Stop by their newest location in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. For reservations, call 969-2652. Mescla, a true taste of Guam.
Getting you back to the talk faster. It's the Ray Gibson Show.
6:37, and I was not watching it live. I'll admit to you yesterday that I was not watching the process over at the legislature. I knew it was coming up, and I kind of knew what I thought was going to happen. I thought it was going to be one of those things where they were supposed to talk about just one measure, and we knew it was going to be the war claims deal. But all of a sudden, people start getting up at the beginning of the session and start just talking, notwithstanding the rules. We'd like to see if we can get this on the session floor into second reading. And there were a number of measures. Joe S. had suggested that they look at a couple of other bills, but those, with a couple of exceptions, I think that all of them were voted down by the body. And then Kelly Marsh got up and started talking about what she wanted to do with the FESPAC deal. Mm-hmm. And apparently there were enough votes to sustain that and move that into third reading. And then, of course, we've got the Bill 181, which is the war claims bill. And for those of you that I see, for those of you that missed it, this is what it looked like and sounded like yesterday over at the legislature. They had been in recess and then came back with this.
5 COR is substituted on the floor. Are there any objections? Senator Therese.
Madam Speaker, the bill is significantly different in that it deletes the $7.5 million that was included in the original bill, and it includes lapses from this current fiscal year in an unspecified amount.
Senator, do you object to the bill?
I object to this substitute version. I think it's going to be clear for the public if we start with the original version or the version that we came up with during our last committee of the whole, and we show the amendments.
The motion is not debatable. There is a motion on the floor to accept the substituted version of 185-35 COR. that takes into the account the hearings, the bill that was on session agenda with the amendments and the perspective from the stakeholders. There is an objection.
Madam Speaker, I object to that description of the bill. It's inaccurate. That's my point of order. We keep saying that this bill is a reflection of the last amendments that we have made.
Senator Terlahi, I'm going to ask you respectfully
that's my point of order, Madam Speaker.
State the section of the violation of the point of order, please. Please state the violation, please. State the violation of the point of order. Legal counsel has...
Madam Speaker, I'm just pointing out that when we are describing the bill, we should be truthful about whether it is accurately reflecting the... If we're going to just say we're going to accept the substitute bill, then fine. But if you're describing it to be a reflection of the prior bill with the amendments that we had made, it is not.
There is a motion on the floor to accept the substituted version. Your hand. On the motion to accept 181-35 COR as substituted, please signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9. Motion carries.
And it was as simple as that. It was as simple as that. The Senator Therese Terlahi gets up and says basically that this bill is not the same one that we were talking about before.
Well, then it should have gone back for a public hearing.
It could have, yeah. But now
if there were significant enough changes to the bill that marked it significantly different,
but
it should have gone back
that would be at the Speaker's discretion to determine whether it was still it still resembled the original bill, right? I mean,
I think that was her argument.
I
mean, based on what Chirag's put out in his press release, they still believe it's the same bill.
Yeah, even though the funding is different, they removed the cap, so essentially the governor's office can write any amounts on write up to any amount that exists, and I think it also changes the funding source or makes that a little bit less clear.
Right.
But what I thought was interesting,
and I think that is Therese Terlahi's argument there, and her concern is there's no funding cap. It's got to come from somewhere, and so which agency is going to be impacted?
Right, or what fund, what account is going to be. But I thought the other thing that I thought was kind of interesting was the way that Tina basically gaslit Therese and wanted her to identify the section of the violation that led to that point of order. Is that something that you generally keep in your head while you're on the floor of the legislature?
She used to be the legislative legal counsel, so I wouldn't be surprised if she...
She probably already had the information, but it was one of those things. I've got a cite now. You're asking me for a citation of the violation here while we're on the session floor. I thought that was interesting, and moving as quickly as they were, I don't think that there was a way for Therese to be able to do that. Anyway, we'll see if we can get them, some of the players of the game on the line a little bit later on this morning, just to see what they've got to say about how interesting it was over at the legislature and the full court press by the majority, including at least one Republican vote in there. Did you see Minority Leader Will Castro when Tina was asking for the votes? He shot up his head
like a lightning bolt.
Like a lightning bolt. Look at me! Look at me! I'm voting for this right now. Hurry up, everybody! He started looking around to see who else was voting with him on this. I thought that was kind of interesting, considering some of the points that were made by his own Republican colleague, the Telo Taitagui, who early and often got up in objection to the number of pieces of legislation that were now being talked about in what was supposed to be a sole one item session, which was supposed to be, as far as we knew, the war claims bill. And then they start talking about FESPAC. Oh, don't get me started on FESPAC. 6:43 in the morning, and the other Governor Leon Guerrero, Ken LG, starts in early this morning. Good morning, Ken.
Well, Bill 181 and 249 are Polish target pistols, and then we'll see which senators are dumb enough to pull the trigger.
Well, apparently 9 of them yesterday on 181. And I didn't stick around for the count on who was going to support the measure for the FESPAC dollars.
Well, it was real interesting because I only counted 7 for FESPAC, and Therese Terlahi raised an objection that she only counted 7 too, and she wanted to know where the other votes were, and she was shouted down by the chief orangutan. I mean the speaker. on that issue as well. So this is proving to be probably the worst possible session ever. The only session I can think of that was as bad as this was the GMH Money for Nothing bond back in the 2016, where they borrowed $45 million, and every senator stood up talking about, we need to do this for Don Maria. Don Maria is going to the hospital and will have no bandages. You know,
the blankets have holes in them. The blankets have holes in them, but the idea that they continue to talk about FestPac like we've got the money for it is it blows my mind.
Yeah, it blows my mind too. But it goes back to show that the IQ level of the elected representatives is dropping rapidly, and I think there must be a radon buildup in the Congress building or something like that. Because as this 35th progresses, the legislation gets dumber, the justifications get stupider, and for some reason, a lot of these senators that are supporting these bills think they're doing the right thing, and they're not. They're putting party politics ahead of serving the public. And that's what it boils down to, you know.
I'm trying to figure out, and follow me on this. There's a lot of people that think that that the idea here is that they will move forward with a war claims solution, a local war claims solution. Although it's Rube Goldberg, in the very least, it seems to me, how they're going to solve this problem with the version of the legislation that I read yesterday that they just put up as a substitute to what had already had public hearings and things like that. They said that they'd had other conversations with stakeholders and other constituents, which led to the formulation of this new legislation. But do you think that they did that in an attempt to get in front of the stateside legislation, or do you think it's possible that other conspiracy theorists around here are saying they're doing that in a deliberate attempt to torpedo the conversation in Washington, D.C. to make Mike Nicholas look bad?
Well, I think it's actually a combination of both, because when you read the bill, it says that this bill doesn't go into effect until we have an agreement with the Treasury. So they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to pass legislation so they can get the headlines before Christmas that the 35th legislature passed the war claims bill and the governor has signed it. But then there's that little caveat. This bill will not go into effect until such time as a memorandum of agreement has been signed with the Treasury.
Why would the Treasury do that? The Treasury already has law. The Treasury already has law. As far as I know, the only thing that we need to do is to make the connection between the law and Treasury and Section 30 funds.
Authorization to pay.
Yeah.
Authorization to pay, which is working its way through a technical correction. And the problem is that it wasn't Madeline. You see, Madeline caused the problem with a technical error.
Correct.
Mike went in and did a technical correction. This is getting way too much publicity simply because the local politicians who are still got their feathers in the twisted because he refused to sign the Democratic loyalty pledge to prove he is a good Democrat. And they're still trying to pound him into the ground for that.
Well, it's beginning to look like Mike Nicholas is the same kind of Democrat that Will Castro is as a Republican. I'm looking around going, what is Will do? Will needs to be the loyal opposition here. And he's voting right alongside these guys.
Will wouldn't know how to oppose anything, really.
6:48 in the morning. Hey, listen. Let me. We can drag this out a little bit later on. I got Senator Tello Taitigui on the line this morning. I want to get her thoughts on the way that this session yesterday was just hijacked by the majority.
Well, tell her to wear a poncho when she goes back into session.
There's going to be
one of those hard hats that have the plastic shield in front of the face.
Right.
You know.
when we're bush cutting, right? Because that's the only for friends for those of you bush cutting enthusiasts out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You need to have something that's got a face mask on it, because every once in a while you're bush cutting, you might hit a piece of dog poop and it'll fly up into your face if you're not careful. That's why we wear the thing with the face guard on it. And there seems to be a whole lot of monkey poop through on at the legislature in the last couple of days.
So she and Therese need to go in prepared.
Amen to that. Well, let me get Senator Tello on.
It could be worse.
I've got the senator on the line. Let me bring her in. Good morning. Tell it to Tello.
And expect results. Hey, good morning. Good morning, Ray. Good morning, Guam, and good morning, Ken.
Ken's off the line now, so it's just you and I and Mana here.
Good morning, Senator.
And let me just say thank you very much procedurally for standing up in front of the speaker yesterday and questioning almost every single time, and there were more than one or two, every single time that there was an attempt to hijack this sole topic, this sole bill here at the session that you guys had yesterday.
You know, it was I've been in the legislature in the 30th, and then from there I was liaison for many years after that. And never in that whole time did I see something so shameful in my life that would happen yesterday. It was just downright disgraceful to this legislature. And what they did was shameful, and this is what gives us a bad name as a legislature, as senators. And what happened yesterday, and the worst part of it was, right before she gavelled to close for a recess for the next day, I went to her and I said, Speaker, I'd like to be recognized for reconsideration on the vote of sending Bill 181 to the third reading file. Now, they did that with the other bills they tried to put through at the beginning. And then she gets onto the on her seat as I get to my seat and I have my hand raised up, ready to go, and she goes, "We're going to recess tomorrow morning with bang." And then she gets off and I said, "Excuse me, Speaker, I asked to be recognized." See everybody in the morning, and walks away.
Wow.
And then I said, this woman should not be Speaker. You talk about Trump being impeached, she should be impeached. And I made sure everybody in that legislature heard that.
Ooh.
Because with her actions, oh yeah, it was loud and clear. I wish the cameras were still on.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed. I was kind of disappointed when the cameras went off. It felt like there should be more to what was taking place. And after they had the vote and everything, and it got quiet, and then eventually the cameras just stopped. There was no "thank you very much, drive carefully, good night." It was just the session is over.
Yesterday was just pathetic.
Let me ask you a question. When did you guys get your copy of the new version of 181?
Well, first we were called into session at 2:00.
Yes.
We did not get onto the air until 3:00.
Yes, I noticed that, and I was getting pinged by people asking where the session is and what was going on and why is the long delay.
The only people who were sitting down in that legislature at 2:00 were Republicans. All the Democrats were outside having a little secret powwow, not even letting it part of it. Then when they finally come in around 3:00, they give us the original copy of Bill 181.
Yep.
Nobody was telling us anything. Then throughout the time, finally a copy of the substitute bill came on our desk. Finally, it came on right after they tried to put all the other bills on, which I objected to because from media, and I was mentioning on the air that we didn't have committee on rules. What's going on?
Right. Yeah. That's
on notice so that we can prepare, correctly for this legislature, and nothing.
It was a matter of rumor and conjecture on what the topics were going to be on this particular session because there was no report out of the Committee on Rules.
We were kept in the dark, and never once was told what was going on. Now, as it moved forward, we finally got a copy of the substituted bill.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you get a copy of a substituted bill, as Monica may know, that the parts that they substitute or included is underlined.
Correct.
So you could see the changes. They had no such thing showing us any changes on the substituted bill. None. We had to take two bills side by side, go through it on our own, verbatim, and see what was changed.
While session was underway.
Discuss on it.
While session was going on.
Exactly. And they were discussing other bills. So I was trying to multitask and trying to look at this bill, trying to listen to the other bills coming on and go, wait a minute, no. So when the legislators started and they tried to put bills on the floor, I objected. We don't have time we didn't know there are other bills going to be on the agenda, let alone Bill 181 was just a rumor, but the other bills, never knew they were coming on. So they started putting these other bills and I objected. Thank God everybody, there was not enough votes to get it on. So another bill tried to get on. I objected again. Didn't come on. And basis on that we did not have a time to review these bills, or that committee of rules did not happen prior to let us know that this is the intent for the legislation.
Here's the problem is neither did the people that you represent, neither did the people that voted in that body have an opportunity to review that measure for clarity, of thought, for substance, any of that stuff. And there are parts of this that make absolutely no sense. We're rushing this through, and the linchpin is, number one, I don't believe that there is a fund identified in this measure to pull those dollars from, and it requires an MOU with the Treasury. Well, the Treasury is going to say, we've already got a piece of law here that has been passed by the House and the Congress and signed off by the President. So which are we supposed to work with? What Mike Nicholas is trying to correct in Washington, D.C., or this, quote, memorandum of understanding between the government of Guam and the federal government?
Right. Well, I wonder
what the hell is the Treasury going to say when they get word of this?
I did a little bit of research beforehand. I also called Juan Carlos, pulled all the interviews out, and researched everything. And, of course, I was in D.C. as well, talking with Senator Graham's office staff and understanding the process going through. Now, the part that we need to discuss on Bill 181 is to ensure that, nobody's giving false hope on getting paid. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs to realize the process that's going through, not be kept in the dark and not understand, especially if you're going to get some pretty upset people after 735 people have been paid out. Or what happens in the event that H.R. 1365 gets passed in the next, let's say, 2 months? And all these letters that come from let me go down through the process first, so that everybody understands. Okay, so right now, H.R. 1365 is not even in a packet yet, okay? That's in a group of bills that are going through hotline. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, we understand the hotline process. It goes through the Judiciary Committee, make sure there's no objection. Well, there was one objection, and it was Section 2, so it was striked out. And then once it was striked out, it went through that process again, and then at that point, nobody objected. That's where we are right now with H.R. 1365. Nobody objected. So it now needs to go in a stack of all these hotline bills that are going to be sent to the Senate for consideration and voting on. Now, where we are today with H.R. 1365, based on my information and based on Juan Carlos, because I had a conversation with him yesterday, it has not even been confirmed to be sitting on that stack of bills that are hotlining to go to Senate yet. Okay, so that's where we are right now. Now let's go to the process on Bill 181. Oh, by the way, so it's very simple. Once it goes to hotline, it goes on the Senate then votes for it. Mm-hmm. And after that, it then needs to be approved by the House again because it was revised, but it's done on the same day. So it's real quick to happen, and nobody at this point, because Judiciary's been keeping
it should bounce right back and then head to the White House for signature.
Done, and they go exactly. Now let's talk about Bill 181. First, after the bill is passed, an agreement is being made between Treasury and Guam. I have a copy of a draft MOU. I don't even know if the draft MOU was a combination of the governor's office and the Treasury.
That's it. Well, I tell you what, I've got the news coming up in a second. We'll see if we can reach out to you a little bit later on, because I wanted to get your thoughts on the ramrodding of the FESPAC legislation. That seems the only people that really care about FESPAC are going to be people over at the legislature and others. So let me bring you up in the next hour.
One too as well. Oh yeah, I'll be standing by. But the process of 181 is going to be quite interesting for everyone to know how this is going to go, because it's going to take maybe 6 months.
Yeah, let me see if I can get a copy of it posted somewhere. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. That's Senator Tello Taitugwe over at the legislature calling for the impeachment of Speaker Tina Rose Munya Barnes. It's 7. This is The Point.
Historic debate on the House floor. And Lisa Brady.
I am saddened, but I'm not shocked that we are here today considering articles of impeachment against President Trump.
California Congresswoman Barbara Lee accusing the president of a pattern of corruption, and each side accuses the other of being most concerned with politics.
Let me tell you, the voters will remember next November what you're doing this December. This is a terrible time. This is a date that will live in infamy.
Pennsylvania Republican Congressman Mike Kelly. Fox's Jared Halpern is live on Capitol Hill.
President Trump has compared this impeachment to the Salem witch trials. During floor debate, Georgia Republican Barry Loudermilk recalled the trial of Jesus.
During that sham trial, Pontius Pilate afforded more rights to Jesus than the Democrats have afforded this president in this process.
The Judiciary Committee chairman, Democrat Jerry Nadler, says the president was afforded opportunities to present his case.
The president was given the opportunity to come and testify before the Judiciary Committee, to send his counsel, to question witnesses. He declined to do so.
At least 6 hours of debate is planned before a historic vote on 2 articles of impeachment charging President Trump with abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. Lisa.
Thanks, Jared. If the House votes to impeach, it would head to the Senate for a trial. President Trump tweeting criticism of the probe again earlier today, calling it an assault on America and accusing what he calls the radical left of atrocious lies. He is scheduled to head later this hour to Michigan for a rally tonight. Meantime, Wall Street holding on to some new records, but a mixed finish overall. The Dow down 26 points at the closing bell. It had been higher for much of the session. The NASDAQ, though, does post its 5th record close in a row, up about 4 points. The S&P also higher. America is listening to Fox News.
Tis the season of wish lists, wreaths, and wrapping paper. Make this year a little more special by sprinkling the holidays with wonder. Apply today for a personal loan of up to $50,000 for as low as 4.75% annual percentage rate. Apply today at bankofguam.com or visit us at any one of our branches. Subject to Bank of Guam lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Wishing you a wondrous holiday season from Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, member FDIC.
Rent, lease. What does Horizon do for you? Here's a clue. Advertising, marketing, screening, inspecting, instructing, leasing and signing, collecting and complying, inquiring and assessing, coordinating, repairing, renewing, enforcing, evicting, moving, cleaning, rekeying, communicating. Do it yourself and you'll find it taxing. We work hard to keep the vacancies low, so at the end of the month, you collect the dough. Proven and trusted. Horizon Properties. We do it all. 777-7792.
Immigration attorneys are suing over the entire legal system of immigration in the U.S., arguing it's been weaponized by the Trump administration.
A lawsuit filed by Portland's Innovation Law Lab and other groups, including the Southern Poverty Law Center, say the immigration court system is not fair or impartial and that it serves the Trump administration's anti-immigrant agenda. They point to the resignation of one immigration judge earlier this year who said this administration's policies have eroded what independence and legitimacy remained in the immigration court system. The complaint claims there are asylum-free zones where no asylum cases are approved and that there are quotas judges have to meet to adjudicate cases more quickly as a backlog of cases grows. The Justice Department did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Late word of a deadly attack at a suburban shopping center near Portland, Oregon. Police say one person was killed, others wounded by someone who stabbed people, then fled in a stolen vehicle but was later captured in a different suburb. A luxury automaker gets slapped by U.S. safety regulators for flaws in reporting recalls.
Mercedes-Benz agrees to a $13 million fine in a settlement with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration over the German automaker's recall reporting lapses involving 1.4 million vehicles. Allegations of notification letters being sent too slowly to owners, slow reporting to the agency, and alleged flaws with Mercedes' website that lets vehicle owners check for recalls via VIN numbers. Mercedes U.S. says it doesn't believe it did anything wrong deliberately, and that in all cases it announced proper recalls, provided information, and started the recalls as soon as possible. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Again, a partial retreat on Wall Street, the Dow down 28 points. Lisa Brady, this is Fox News.
What's for breakfast at KFC under $3.95, you ask? What's for breakfast at KFC that's different than the other guys, you ask? KFC's chicken wrap, sausage wrap, the Colonel's chicken congee, chicken fried steak, sausage biscuit and gravy, and biscuit sandwiches made with KFC's original fluffy biscuits. All for under $3.95 and all only at KFC. Plus, with waffles and the Colonel's chicken fried rice, we've got something for everyone.
So visit KFC for breakfast today. It's finger-licking good.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
The holiday season is here, and it gives us pause to reflect on the abundance of 2019 and to express our gratitude for Guam, the island we call home, and to all Guamanians. Our team here at Security Title is proud of the work we do to support ourselves and our families, to serve and care for our customers, and to give back to our community. May this season of joy and the new year bring happiness, good health, and prosperity to you and yours. Merry Christmas from all of us at Security Title.
Hafa and good morning, Guam. It's 7:06. I'm Mana Silva Tyron, and here are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. There are still lingering questions over a measure that was pushed through seeking to pay out a fraction of the war claims, but the bill was placed in the voting file nonetheless. And as a result of this action and all that led up to it, one senator is now calling for the impeachment of the speaker. Bill 181 would use local funds to pay war reparations. Senators feel they were rushed and denied a chance to talk about what they call significant changes to the bill. Senator Therese Terlahi says there's no cap, and it pretty much is a blank check. Terlahi objected on the session floor when her colleagues went to vote to move the measure to the voting file, saying that the bill is completely different, the funding source is completely different, and her fundamental objection is passing this bill without any discussion. Terlahi had raised her objection on the floor, asking why the substitute version would not have first been discussed in the Committee of the Whole so the administration and BBMR could provide input on how they intend to fund this measure. She had asked her colleagues to allow for a review of the substantive version or substitute version and discussion on the bill, but was told that she was out of order by Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes, who said the motion for the vote had already been made. Particularly, Senator Terlahi took issue with the removal of $7.5 million of a cap that was in the original legislation to pay adjudicated claims and the funding source for the transfer of the money. Meanwhile, Senator Tello Taitagui is calling for the impeachment of the Speaker of the Legislature, Tina Muñoz Barnes. Taitagui, who was fired up over actions on the floor of the legislature yesterday in session, she's upset over apparently being ignored when asking Barnes to recognize her on the floor. Taitagui stated that she requested from the Speaker to be recognized so that she could make a motion to reconsider action. Taitagui says when she was walking back to her seat, Barnes gavelled out and recessed session. Taitagui is concerned with a call of session initially without a rules meeting and advance notice of so that senators could review the bills on the agenda. She was also upset over not being allowed to review the changes to Bill 181 prior to being called into session, those changes made in committee. Meanwhile, some senators are up in arms over the placement of Bill 249 on the agenda. That bill by Senator Kelly Marsh would provide funding for the Festival of the Pacific of the Arts to the agenda. Senator Tydegui and Talena Nelson objecting to this. Tydegui saying that they were not notified of the bill being placed on the agenda, and Nelson says they have more pressing matters to address. Senator Marsh said that her bill needs to be passed by December 20th, as there is a deadline to buy discounted airline tickets for participants. She says doing so will save tens of thousands of dollars. Former Governor Eddie Calvo and former OPA Doris Flores Brooks will be members of the President's Advisory Commission on Asian Pacific and Pacific Islanders. President Donald Trump has announced his intent to nominate a number of individuals to those key positions in his administration and put out a press release yesterday. More news after this.
Water. It covers nearly 3/4 of our Earth. From vast oceans to millions of rivers and streams, we're all concerned with protecting our world's water. But none is more important than the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve your water so that your family is using the best water in the world. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. A passion for improving lives through better water.
Celebrate your holiday festivities with dinner at Hyatt Regency Guam on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day at Al Dente Ristorante. Enjoy a holiday family set menu, which includes Fiorentina steak, lobster tail, and an array of Italian favorites, suitable for up to a family of 4. Eat, drink, and be merry during the holidays at Hyatt Regency Guam's Al Dente Ristorante. To make your reservations, please call 647-1234.
The federal government has asked the District Court of Guam to reserve ruling in part as well as deny indicted Jotnya Mayor Jesse Blas's motion to exclude certain testimony and evidence at trial. Assistant U.S. Attorney Laura Sampataro filed the government's response, which asked the court to hold off on making a decision on Blas's request regarding evidence in the event the defendant opens the door to their admission. Blas stands accused of receiving bribes in exchange for the use of cluster mailboxes for the drug operation in his village. He wants certain evidence removed from the trial, but the government asked the court to deny that request. Mixed martial arts fighter Ricky Camp has pleaded not guilty to charges against him in the Superior Court. Camp was indicted in the importation of Schedule II controlled substance and the importation with the intent to distribute. He waived his rights to a speedy trial and is scheduled to return to court on January 9th before Judge Anita Sokola. Camp was arrested after U.S. Postal Service and Customs authorities detected drugs in a parcel that came from Las Vegas. The package contained approximately 5 pounds of methamphetamine. Camp has since been released from prison in order to stay away from the Postal Service and Justin William Navarro, who was also named in court documents. And a teen mom who held her toddler over an apartment balcony has pleaded not guilty to child abuse charges in the Superior Court. 19-year-old Norianne Tommy, charged with child abuse, family violence, and reckless conduct. She waived her rights to a speedy trial and is scheduled to appear back in court on January 13th before Judge Vern Perez. The woman is alleged to have held her daughter over the balcony in an attempt to get her to stop crying. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
There's video. We have video of it. It's clearly abuse. I just don't understand how people just admit it and just you're going to get off anyway. Just admit it. Find a way into Sokola's courtroom.
She's trying to say that it's not child abuse because her daughter liked it.
I didn't drop her.
Her daughter wasn't crying when
7:13 in the morning. I'm sorry. And let me get into some weather and say a couple of other interesting things here in a second. Mostly sunny and breezy. Some isolated showers today. Northeast winds 15 to 25 miles an hour, decreasing a little bit tonight. Highs near 87 degrees, and overnight lows are going to be about 77. Sunset tonight 5:57. Tell the others. Have you noticed that the numbers are getting later and later here? 5:57 is going to be almost 6 before you know it's going to be going down at a reasonable and respectable time like 6:30, 6:45 at night.
Something like like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of hoping for. Sunrise this morning was at 6:37. We'll see the same thing happening in just a little bit. 7:13, and Michael Knight's going to take a look at the weather radar. Doesn't seem to be too much going on out there in the hood right now, in the Marianas hood. Just a little bit of stuff coming in from the eastern side.
Yeah, we got some showers down to the southeast. That's associated with a really weak tropical disturbance. It's been designated 98 WNBES. No major development expected of it, and it's not going to directly affect us. But it looks like some of these showers on the northern fringes of it could clip us a little bit later today. They won't be much, though, because as we can see here, the air is fairly dry over us right now. So when these, when the moisture mix in with the dry, and it balances out, and it winds up being pretty much nothing. So if we do get some showers, it's okay because we're in the dry season, so every little bit of rain we get, we can use. But we're really expecting mostly sunshine today with the breeze and just a slight chance of those rain showers.
Gonna be nice. It was nice yesterday. It's gonna be nice today. 7:14 in the morning. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Cocoa Coffee Company is now available at Circle K. Single origin coffee beans, carefully sourced and locally roasted to give you the freshest cup of coffee Guam has to offer. Grab a cup that's brewed every 30 minutes or purchase a bag of the locally roasted whole beans. Flavors now serving: light medium roasted Ethiopia and medium dark roasted Jamaican Blue Mountain. Exclusively available at Circle K. With every Cocoa Coffee Company purchase, a portion of the proceeds will go towards the Cocoa Recovery Program.
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show being brought to you by, golly, just a whole bunch of people, including my friends over at Cold Stone Creamery. It's the ultimate ice cream experience, and they know that you're going to be in trouble if you don't bring something nice over at your big holiday get-together, family, or maybe your office stuff. So call them and learn about the new Fudge Merriment Ice Cream Cake. There's layers of moist red velvet cake, sweet cream ice cream with fudge mint cookies, and new Fudge Mint Cookie ice cream sprinkled with chocolate drops and more. Drop by the mall or the GPO location. Better yet, order online is a cool way to do this at ordercoldstone.com. And don't forget Cold Stone gift cards, perfect stocking stuffers for everybody on your Christmas list. Get one, literally get one for everyone that you've known since like grade school. And you will be just absolutely beloved. Cold Stone Creamery, super premium ice cream, made fresh every day. Also being brought to you by the team over at American Water Tech. From now until 2020, you can save almost $900 on a complete Kinetico non-electric reverse osmosis drinking water system for your home. Give them a call at 649-2301 and find out more. American Water Tech, a passion for improving lives through better water. American President Lines brings you the program. APL, a global presence with a local home, and the team over at Guam Regional Medical City. The first stop in all your specialty care needs.
It's the Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Yeah, buddy. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. Are you just tuning in? You missed it. You missed it. Senator Tello Taitagui up in arms this morning, calling for the impeachment of Speaker Tina Rose Munya Barnes. Very upset about the way things went down yesterday over at the legislature and the way that the bills, without having gone through the committee on rules, were just thrown on the floor. Things like FESPAC and a new version of Bill number 181 that seems to be quite different from the original version that the legislature had already reviewed, had seen before, and had conversations about. And that was a point that was being made by Senator Therese.
Terlahi.
Thanks very much for that. That's why I've got you here, so you can jump in and help me out with that kind of thing. And the concern now, at least as has been pointed out by the guys over by Mike Sinicolas and his office in Washington D.C. is, look, guys, I've got a fix. It's in. The Senate's got it. It's fast tracked. It's hotlined, and so just hold off on everything on Guam, and we'll get this thing taken care of. There's already a process in place. There have been claims that have already been adjudicated. Money has already been set aside. We just need to fill in that one gap to get the money out of Treasury and into the hands of these war claimers, war survivors and claimants. That part's already being done. So what is the point of the legislature now jumping in with unidentified funding source, no cap on said funding source, and this nefarious idea that nothing can happen anyway until there's a memorandum of understanding between GovGuam and Treasury. And the people over at Treasury are saying, what are you guys doing here? We've already already got a mechanism in place. It's just a strange deal that was going on over at the legislature yesterday, in a weird way that it was kind of ramrodded down everybody's throat. Now, is it an attempt to make Mike Nicholas look bad? Is that what's going on? Some people say that's exactly what's going on. We're going to throw a monkey wrench into the gears in Congress and cause for this to have a second look, and that's going to make Mike Nicholas look bad, and that means that the fair-haired children of the deep state Democrats will have an easier shot at getting back into Washington, D.C. That's the theory as it works. Now, Mike Nicholas also working on something else in Washington, D.C. They passed a spending bill over at the House that has got $127 million worth of Medicaid for Guam. And so I'd asked out loud, I wonder how the administration is going to downplay Mike Nicholas's contributions. And we had Mike Nicholas on the radio yesterday talking about it. And we've got a press release that came out of the governor's office. Janela Carrera writes, House passes spending bill with $127 million Medicaid funding for Guam. Here's the quote from the governor. I join governors from the territories of the United States in thanking the House for its passage of a measure that would help millions of Americans keep the health care they need. After months of effort, we now have meaningful progress. While this measure only provides for a 2-year deal, the alternative was a clear and present danger to our people and millions of others in Puerto Rico, CNMI, U.S. Virgin Islands, and American Samoa. This shows you that while our individual voices may be too small to hear, together, the blue continent can make an impact. You misspelled Mike Nicholas wrong. I thank everyone who took part in this work, most especially our brothers and sisters of the territories who had our back. And they had our back because Mike Nicholas did it, but it doesn't go on to say that. It is encouraging to see our voices being heard. I hope we can keep this momentum going to find a permanent solution to this perennial problem. The health care of our people and those living in the territories deserve the same treatment no matter what part of the U.S. we live in, said Governor Lou Leon Guerrero. But again, I'm looking at this thing, there's no mention of Congressman Mike Nicholas or any of the other activities his office might be taking place with. Man, that just looks petty. That's like when you guys forgot to mention Benita Magnolia at the hospital when she finally got that home run and had the reimbursement rate changed. They made it sound like it was something they came up with and sent an email to somebody and got it. That was something that Benita Magnolia had been working on literally for years. They didn't mention her in the press release. Come on, guys. That's small. 7:21 in the morning. A couple of other things. We got Jerry Roberts coming in here in a second, but we'll take a look at what happened on the markets. Dow Jones was looking good for a little bit. They were up about 35 points the last time I looked at them, but ended up closing down today. 28,239. NASDAQ in the green by about 4 points to close at 8,800. And 88.27 this morning, and the S&P 500 at 31.91. They're off by about a point and a third. It's Thursday. We like to look at Bitcoin on Thursdays.
Yeah, just another bit of proof that maybe Bitcoin works conversely to the market. We were talking about the market doing well, then kind of went down at the last moment. Bitcoin was holding steady, and then it went down as the market went up, and then as the market went down, it rose back up. Just 6 hours ago, Bitcoin was at 64.50. And right now settling in at 71.27 and 78 cents. Yeah, so, and I've been kind of watching that because I've suspected that as the market, does its corrections, the Bitcoin seems to go in opposite direction.
Yeah.
And, of course, Bitcoin not tied to the market in any way, but I'm sure a lot of the people that own Bitcoin are also invested in the market.
Kind of like the way the bonds move opposite of the market. Maybe we can see the same thing happening with Bitcoin. Well, sometimes you start looking at some of the other commodities that are out there, as precious metals, things like that. Gold actually down by about it's $1. Maybe a penny, I don't know. $1,479.30 is where gold is trading today. We don't have a whole lot of great news on the other commodities, the oil commodities here this morning. I'll tell you right now, if you're on E for Ever Ready, if you're anywhere near that, I would strongly suggest that you put some gasoline in your car at today's prices, because the barrel of Tapis crude now trading at $70.84. That's almost 50 cents. It's 8 bits higher than where it was yesterday at $70.36. $60.84 84 cents today for a barrel of West Texas crude. That's actually off, but it's only off by like 3 cents. It ain't that big of a deal for the West Texas crude side. But as I said, first freak out was that Tappas was trading over $70 a barrel, and now the trajectory going up rather rapidly, 70.36 to 70.84 in just 24 hours. That's definitely got my attention. A couple of interesting local stories on the business front that I tell you about. GTA has raised capital to accelerate investment in Guam telecom infrastructure. This comes from Business Wire, Guam's leading provider of fiber, broadband, and connectivity services to enterprises and consumers, announced that it had raised $146 million of lower-cost capital, which provides greater flexibility and allows GTA to accelerate its continued investment in Guam's telecom infrastructure. 5G is happening for virtually everybody in the scene, and that's going to be, I think, for everybody, a kind of an expensive rollout. There's things that they need to buy equipment-wise. There's other bandwidth, other band space that they need to occupy, and that will come with some cost. So, yeah, we're going to go out and see if we can raise some money. You see it when you pass by on Marine Corps Drive. Kevin Kerrigan the other day writing a story about the construction on-site of Don Quixote store about ready to start. They've got the big blockades. They got the white ribbon up and down Marine Corps Drive and a little bit on Route 10A. And if it were me, if I was the governor, if I was the Ayatollah of Guam, this is the way I would do it. They put up those boards to prevent I guess dust from moving around and things like that. Take those down. This is the first time in my adult life, I think, since before there was that little 9-hole golf course that they had there. You remember that mini golf that they had there? We haven't really had a chance, and they're clearing a whole lot of it. I mean,
it's all clear.
Yeah, it's all clear now.
It's all clear.
I'm thinking about pulling over and just kind of walking around back there to see what's there. I mean, that was part of what old military infrastructure. Wasn't that the lower side? It used to be called North Gate because that was the North Gate, I think, of the old Naval Air Station. It went all the way that far.
Why.
So I'm kind of curious to see what is in there that has been in there, shielded from our eyes by the boondocks and whatever, since the end of the Second World War.
Nothing. It's all dirt now.
Yeah, I know they've cleared the whole thing off, but I mean, there's got to be some piles out there of stuff and rubble and junks, maybe unexploded ordnance or something like that. I don't know.
They began to clear that in the 70s. Remember James Lee? The name James Lee in the James Lee building in Tamuning?
I do.
That was his. Or he was going to put something up there. Then there was like 37 families or something involved, and they got 35 to sign off, or 1 or 2 of them wouldn't do it.
And I think those are the 2 houses that are still there.
The last 2, the last 2 properties.
So they just said no, and it's been sitting there for 40 some odd years.
Yeah, and there were only 2 things that I recall ever happening around there. One of them was the show home, the show facility for the towers out in Jonestown behind Auntie Annie's house.
And the golf.
And the golf. And there was a little, I don't want to say miniature golf, but I think it was just a little 9-hole golf course that they had out there just for guys that wanted to, just go and putt-putt for a couple of hours and see what happened.
So what's going there, Ethan?
Don Quixote, are you familiar with it?
No, I'm not, but I mean, I don't care what kind of store you have other than a Walmart supercenter. That is a massive property.
It's huge what they're clearing off. I mean, this was because I've been in Don Quixote's before, and they're big facilities. Most of the ones that I've seen, there's one in I know there's one in Okinawa. I know there's one in Shanghai, and there's definitely one in Osaka, Japan, just by the river, and it's a multi-story deal, and you can't get in. You can't get in. The place is just jam-packed with tourists. When we were at Dotonbori in Osaka, we actually went by there. Miami wanted to go inside and see if she could find some junk because it's like a dollar store or something like that. It's just a lot of knickknacks and things like that of all kinds, floor to ceiling. And we walked in and could not get any further than about a yard or 2 away from the cash register because the place was just packed. It will be kind of a Gadgets and Gizmos Ross.
So this is going to be every Japanese tourist, every Korean tourist, every Chinese tourist are going to be. That's where they're going.
Yes, that's where they're going to go. Now they say in the article that they wanted to want to appeal as much as possible to the local market. They say their target market is local residents, not Japanese tourists. They completed a survey of island residents asking them what products they would like to see offered. for this Don Quixote. It really is kind of a magical store, if you will, and I think it's going to be. You remember when they had the lines up for weeks over at Jollibee? I think this is going to be the retail version of Jollibee when they finally get this thing open.
It'll take that entire property. With parking, haven't seen the whole thing.
Haven't seen the plans
I don't know.
I mean, from where they are at the intersection of the airport all the way down to practically where Chick Whitfield's place was.
Yeah,
that's a big chunk of property for one little store.
Yes, it is.
7:28 in the morning. That's the voice of Jerry Roberts. We know we got Extra Point coming up. When you hear that, it's brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and the guys over at First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes.
The late Stephen Covey left us with a masterpiece, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Today, please indulge me as I respectfully add a few habits to that list, and that's next on the Extra Point.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
A homeowner's policy protects much more than just your house. It also protects you against claims from someone being hurt on your property. If a visitor is injured at your place, how much are you covered for? The smart thing to do is get the answer today.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Ever notice how that one perfect holiday gift is just out of reach? Or how sales on the stuff you want all come at the same time? This season, plan ahead with a holiday loan from First Hawaiian Bank. Now you can afford to be nice without being naughty. For more details, visit FHB.com or any branch to apply. Additional restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Stephen Covey was a genius at simplifying complex ideas into easily understood and easily implemented strategies and tactics. We'll run through the 7 habits, and then I'll tack on a few for your consideration. Number 1, be proactive. That means we take responsibility for our own behavior. We don't need our supervisor to keep track of us and move us to the next task. We go looking for what needs to be done. Number 2, begin with the end in mind. Have a clear vision of what our objective is, then create the path and the individual steps to get us there. 3, put things first. This was Covey's gift to time optimization. We needed to focus on the important tasks and duties in our day, but not necessarily those things that are urgent. The reason here is that not everything that seems urgent is important. It takes a while to get this one, but it's a real difference maker once you do. Number 4, think win-win. Few of us really understand what that means. 5, seek first to understand. Listen intently to others, trying to fully grasp the other person's thoughts, needs, desires, and problems. That gives us a better chance to help solve them. 6, synergize. Covey saw the whole as being greater than the sum of the parts. And 7, sharpen the saw. That was his term for continuous improvement. So how do you add on to a book that simply wowed the world? The 7 Habits has sold millions and millions of copies and has been translated into dozens of languages. First, he followed up with this book, another entitled The 8th Habit, giving the message that finding your voice and inspiring others to find theirs is the next level, that interdependence is more important than independence. My first add-on goes in the same direction and plays off of number 7, sharpen the saw. What I stress in my training is the value of sharpening one saw, then using those skills to help sharpen the saws of others. We may never know the difference we make, but helping someone create a small improvement may be the key to launching a great career. I'll call that habit number 9. 10, be a lifelong learner and encourage those around us to do the same. 11, teach the generations that are following. We invested a lot of years to learn what we know. It's true, they won't always sit still to listen, so we'll have to carefully choose our moments, but it's important to share. And 12, live with enthusiasm and optimism. Is it hard to do sometimes? You bet. Life can beat us down and make us see nothing but negativity and gloom ahead. We need to have faith and hope that it's all for a greater purpose and that tomorrow will be better than today. With that faith and hope, we get up, strap on our dreams again, and get after the new day. I think Stephen Covey would have agreed. That's the Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show, Guahan Insurance Services, and First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
Not even... Not even to try to add to that. Folks, you need to download that copy of that and print it up and just pass it out to everybody that you know. So go to GuamTraining.com and take a look at it. Now, getting back to the conversation about the Don Quixote store, and you know, you brought it up, so I think we might need to spend a couple of minutes talking about it here. When they build that massive, everybody's going to go there, Don Quixote store at the corner of Marine Corps Drive and 10A. What's that going to do to traffic? Yeah. It's already the suck there. It's already bad. You get to northbound Marine Corps Drive traffic coming in from the intersection over at EPAL Road, and then all of a sudden you've got one turning lane that will take you into two lanes, neither of which are any good. I mean, there's the river that's on the roadway. It's all undulating and all of that, and then it narrows down to one lane, opens up again to two. But one is a turning lane up to Teason, and the other one is the slow one that takes you up 10A.
Imagine what that's going to be like when they back up the people that are heading to go to Barragata Heights.
Forget it.
What's that?
It's impossible. It's impossible already. Got to help you if you get stuck behind a gas truck that's going up to the fuel dump up there, because those things just kind of chug up the hill, usually in the one spot where nobody can pass. So I would hope that the people over at DPW are aware of what is going to be, I'll call it Carmageddon out there. Carmageddon. It's going to get ugly through there unless they've got some kind of a plan. Well, I'll bet you it happens. This is the way it works with Guam. We either have bad luck or no luck, but this is the way it's going to work. We will have Carmageddon through there unless they've got some solid plans right now for traffic diversion and additional lanes up 10A.
Now, you mentioned the bypass road.
Yes.
Where was that plan?
The plan, they've been working that plan at DPW since Larry Perez was there. And so we've got the Mugga Hugga Highway that starts over by Cars Plus on Route 8. Yeah. So we've got that road there, and it's a nice wide piece of road, and you notice it gets narrow as you go through Teason, because we don't own that land. That land is, they're supposed to be in conversation with the landowners there so that they can take that property, widen the roadway, and the way it ends up now, used to be the old guard shack over at Naval Air Station. Right. The way it works now is they would take a turn from about there and go right behind the water tank and open up right in front of Home Depot.
Take it down from there.
And take it down from there. That's the theory, but again, we've got land ownership issues, and the ultimate joke on the people of Guam is that there was a time where the government of Guam owned that land, owned that property, and they gave it back to the original landowners. And the original landowners are now saying, "Oh, you want to use this for a road?
Oh, well,
I need you to write me a check with about 7 zeros on it." There is a provision in the deeds for the government being able to take it back, the reversionary clause. Which politician on Guam has got the cojones to push the button on the reversionary clause and take that land back?
Not a chance.
It's just like that. 7:36 in the morning, and there's your history lesson. There's something to look forward to. Traffic in the northern parts of Tamuning.
Pretty soon we could just require, like they do in the Philippines, if your license plate ends with an even number, you cannot use your vehicle on these specific days.
Okay, you know what the workaround is on that? You know what the workaround is?
You buy another car.
You buy 2 cars. You get a license plate. I'm serious. Serious. It's done. I know people that have 2 cars in the Philippines. One with an even number at the end and one with an odd number in the end.
And good for car sales.
You got to get moving.
Car dealer delight.
7:36 in the morning, and that's all the news and the Jerry Roberts. Actually, we haven't even started
the news.
Trying to
help out my car dealer friend.
Let's jump into some of that. Yeah, I met a friend, a new friend last night named Jim, and Jim is with Military Car Sales and should have absolutely no problem selling any cars on Guam in the next little bit. It's time for headlines. News from the Guam Daily Post, read by Mona Silva Tyron, brought to you by Lolita Kemet of Remax Diamond Realty. For all your real estate needs, give her a call at 688-6743, and Auntie Loli will answer the phone for you. Now here's the news.
The Speaker of the Legislature should be impeached. That from Senator Tello Taidagui, who feels she was shunned yesterday when requesting to be acknowledged on the session floor at the legislature. Taidagui upset over actions to the placement of a bill on the session agenda and its subsequent placement into the voting file. Well, that bill is Bill 181. It would pay war claims using local funds. Senators concerned with changes that were made to the bill in committee. Senator Therese Terlahi concerned it no longer has a cap of $7.5 million. Terlahi raising issue with there not being any discussion on the bill, which she says is significantly different from what was introduced. And there are still lingering questions over that measure, and there is also concern that was being made on another bill that was placed into the voting file, and that one gives funding for the Festival of the Pacific Arts. That bill will be on the agenda and up for voting this afternoon when session resumes. The DOC warden, Alan Borja, was served an adverse action on December 10th following an internal affairs investigation at DOC and an investigation by GPD. Borja is accused of insubordination and refusal to do his job. He's been placed on leave following the escape of 2 prisoners and is temporarily assigned to Parks and Rec. And those are your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, pick up a copy of the paper or log on to their website at postguam.com.
The name of the place I was looking for is Target Golf. Eric Mendel says Target Golf better than Don Quixote. I think there could be a whole bunch of people take exception to that. And it was a par 3 golf course. All the holes were par 3s, which means that you could go in there and shoot for what is it?
With 3 of your pars.
Yeah, 3 of your pars. That's it. It's 7:38 in the morning, and that's iConnect. I'm running to the nearest iConnect and tell them what everybody needs to know about saving you some money at the end of this year, the end of this decade, and the beginning of the next one. Their phone number is 888-8888.
Lolita Cammett from RE/MAX Diamond Realty, a friendly, hardworking, and passionate RE/MAX professional, is committed to helping you make a difference in your life and to helping you achieve the American dream of home ownership. She also specializes in commercial leasing, land sales, local residential sales leasing, and military and corporate relocation. So for all your real estate needs, call Lolita Cammett from RE/MAX Diamond Realty at 688-6743. That's 688-6743.
20 away from the top of the hour. That's time for right now traffic here on the point. It was nice an hour ago. Is it still nice now? No, it's not. It's where are we going here? I got traffic coming out of Jigo on Route 20. Actually, this a little further up than that. Waisangsong 28, where traffic is backing up just before you get to the International Country Club. Make your way down on Waisangsong, and you should survive everything. A little bit of traffic just in front of Waisangsong from the north end of town, and then we've got some nonsense coming up on Route 3 from about where the schools are to the intersection. It'll meet up with traffic, and it will move slow until you get past St. John's this morning. That's what I'm seeing. Also seeing traffic going up Santos Hill towards Marine Corps Drive, so expect some delays there. Route 16 and 25, that's Macheche area. Watch traffic in the underpass, overpass, moving rather slow this morning. 8, 10, and 16, for the most part, running clear except northbound on Route 8 just before you get to that intersection. 10 and 15 is slowing you down on that roadway, and I'm looking at traffic not too far away from EPAL Road. Traffic coming off EPAL Road onto Marine Corps Drive to the 76 Circle K is moving pretty slow as well. 7:40 in the morning. That's right now traffic here on The Point.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Christmas time on Guam, and it's only 6 more days until Christmas. And how are you doing with all of that? Yeah, look at the calendar. Today is 19. What? What do you mean it's only 6 more days? It can't be. We just started December, didn't we? It's the 19th of December today,
Well,
team.
there's always 3 kings.
That was always the deal. And don't forget to buy batteries. Don't forget to buy. If you're buying little kid stuff, there's a couple of families that I know that make it a habit when they buy toys that require batteries, they buy the batteries and attach them to the gift somehow, so that when the kid opens the prize, you don't have to worry about well, I guess maybe it's not so much of a big deal anymore because there's so many places that are open on Christmas Day that you can go and get cigarettes and Slim Jims and Mountain Dews and batteries if you need them. But my recollection was when I was a little kid, we get something that needed batteries. There was this panic. Yeah, nothing was open, and B, you had to go find the toys that you had in the house that might still have a couple of good batteries in them that you could take, so you could use said new toy.
And my recollection, buying your kids toys for Christmas, Ray Gibson was always taking the batteries out of the toys.
I'm the grumpy guy. Somebody bought Mason once upon a time. Somebody bought Mason one of these little Quanghua Chinese made in China guns with lights and it had a speaker on it and it made all kinds of noise.
It's either me or Shelley.
And
just for fun.
so unwraps the thing and starts playing with it, and then he put it down and went into the next toy. And so while he was playing with the other toy, I went in and got my screwdriver and I'm an electronics kind of guy and disabled the speaker on that thing so that it would still light up. It just didn't make any of the noise. Yeah, it's probably he's going to need therapy for that, I'm sure. 7:43 in the
then
morning.
I bought him those Quanghua slippers.
Those are so much fun. It's
always knew he was coming.
It'll sound like an ad, and it's not meant to be. But you know what? Stocking stuffers galore over at Quanghua. And if you don't know what to buy somebody,
Hey, you know what? I told you I'm shopping on Route 8.
Yeah, and so go there, and it's funny because I needed to get one of these a few years ago. It's like a little propane ring. It's a steel ring or iron ring, and you hook it up to a deal, and you can use that for frying fish and barbecue and stuff, and basically any kind of outdoor cooking. 888-825-888-TALK is the telephone number around here. What was it that we were talking about? We left Tello Taitagui in the last hour of the program, and you'll be able to find it as a video on demand. I think if you go to YouTube Live, you should be able to scooch backwards to about 7:48, 7:47, where Tello Taitagui was expressing her sentiments about the way things worked over at the legislature yesterday. A couple of them had to do with the fact that she had problems with, as Therese Terlaye and others did over at the legislature, with the way that Bill 181 came out. It's a war claims bill, and it looks like it's trying to be a solution out looking to solve a problem that is already being solved administratively in Washington, D.C. But there's going to be this strong desire as we move into the holiday season for people over at the legislature to say, "Ayade my manamko, my dear people of Guam, suffered at the hands of the Japanese during the Second World War. Your time of suffering is going to end, and we're going to bring you some kind of retribution, some kind of compensation for the shame and the injuries, et cetera, et cetera." But it's too much, too little, too late. And I'll tell you, I've just reviewing the measure here. We go back to taking a look at it. There's nothing can be done with this until there's a memorandum of understanding with the government of the United States of America, who is going to ask the question, why are you doing this? We've already got this other plan that is working here. And then one of the other problems that some people over at the legislature had yesterday was the idea that it was supposed to be just one bill that was discussed. Well, as soon as the legislature goes into session, everybody and their brother decides that now is the time to move certain bills out of committee and onto the floor of the legislature into second and third reading files. Among them is the hated FESPAC legislation. I'm not going to say it's hated. I'm just going to say we don't have the money for it right now. We've got real problems at the Department of Education, the Department of Corrections, Customs and Quarantine, and those guys are short. Never mind the hospital and virtually every other part of the government of Guam that is not Adelup or the legislature is having some severe problems with money. And now they're deciding to take, $400,000. They tell me they've brought the number down. I'm told that they've brought the number down, but I haven't seen it. And frankly, no one at the legislature has seen it either. We just have to take it on faith that the numbers have been brought down. But this is what it sounded like yesterday over at the legislature as Kelly Marsh was attempting to put the FESPAC legislation back on the floor of the legislature. Mike, hit the button on this.
Marsh Titano, so myself, co-sponsored by Tina Rose Munya-Barnes, Amanda L. Shelton, Jose Pito Terlaje, Clinton E. Rigel, and Joe S. San Agustin. It is an act to add a new M to the section 85102 of Chapter 85, Title 5, GCA, relative to designating the Council on the Arts and Humanities as the state arts agency for Guam, to add a new N to Section 851
oh Lord, this is taking forever.
of Chapter 8, Title 1, GCA, relative to defining the terms works of art in the arts in public buildings law, and to amend Section 852A2C of Chapter 6, Title 1, GCA, relative to allowing the use of money collected therein for travel to FESPAC.
On that motion, are there any objections? Senator Tadigui, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you know, I have to raise an objection. We were told that this session was only going to include Bill 181, and now we have other bills that are coming on. So
Senator,
this is not
there
what was
is an
told
objection.
us, to have the opportunity to look at these bills that are coming ahead of time. It's very disingenuous, and I stand in objection. I mean, I support FESPAC, but at this time, it doesn't give us enough time to look at these bills, so I have to object.
Thank you, Senator Tadigui. There is an objection. Objections are not debatable. There is an objection. All those in favor of Bill 249-35?
And there's just stumbling after that. I want to get to the part where at least one member of the legislature stood in objection to it, primarily on the grounds that hey, we didn't know this thing was coming, and if we had, we would have had an opportunity to take a look at the measure and see if there's anything in it that we'd like to discuss and debate about over at the legislature. Certainly not given the opportunity to do that. Telo Taitagui, last hour called for the impeachment of Speaker Tina Rose Munya-Barnes. You still feel that way?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
This is not the first time. You know, it's just escalating to an even, more obvious that what she's doing is so disingenuous and it's shameful to this legislature. This is the part that I'm ashamed to be a part of the legislature. I kind of don't want to tell anybody I'm a senator because of what she's doing right now. This is why people who want to run for senator don't want to, because you get those few bad apples in there that make everybody look bad. It's unfortunate. But certain people in there that are pushing, Jim Moynihan, myself, we're all standing up for what's right, and that is, this is disingenuous. You should not put this on the agenda. You didn't even tell us what was going on the agenda. As a matter of fact, I objected to all the bills.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. You rose an objection to everything that was coming out for primarily that reason. That's why we are in session, so that we can get up and debate some of these bills, have a discussion about them. But in the meantime, you're being shouted over and you're being gabbled out with your objections.
And not even heard. That's another thing. Each of us are voted into this office. We all have the same, we all went through the same election and got voted in by the people of Guam. So our voices need to be heard because we're representing the people of Guam. And one of them is when I asked the Speaker to reconsider. I said, Speaker, I need you to recognize me. Toward the end of after Bill 181 went to the third reading file, no discussion on the bill, and I asked to be recognized. She gavels in. I'm raising my hand. She goes, we'll recess till tomorrow, and gavels it down. This is so disingenuous, one-sided. It's communistic, what they're doing right now. And it's so unfair to our Manumku, Ray. This is the biggest part.
Well, this is going to end up to be another kick in the groin to them, but because it's looking. The idea is that it's supposed to look like some kind of a savior bill, like we're going to get the money to you even faster than Mike Nicholas is going to be able to do it in Washington D.C. But there are stipulations in the bill that nobody saw. The media didn't get a copy of this until 4:30 in the afternoon. And until after it was done over at the legislature, we did not get a copy. And the only reason we got one is because Troy Torres made a big deal on the speaker's WhatsApp.
Yeah, and that's exactly my point too. So Regine Biscoe-Lee, right before Bill 181 was put on was voted in, Chief Terlahi tried to put a nomination of a parole board to be on the floor, and Regine Biscoe-Lee, the one who's the head of Committee on Rules, stands in objection because it's not on the website yet. It needs to be on the website for 24 hours. So, Bill 181 substituted version was not on the website. Definitely not for 24 hours because we didn't get the bill until 3:30 in the afternoon. This is so disingenuous, and our Manumku deserves their bill to be heard on the floor, deserve to understand what the process is going to be. And I think that people need to know that what we were explaining to, that the process in Bill 181 will allow the negotiations of an MOU between, of course, Treasury and the government of Guam. Now, for anybody to say, oh, they'll be paid in like 2 weeks is totally disingenuous too. Because how long does it take for a letter to get to a survivor from Treasury asking for them to waive their right to pay them and allow the government of Guam instead to pay them their claim? It's not going to take 2 weeks.
This reminds me of that stupid minimum wage bill, which is another one of those. They're going to get up and try to get reelected on the minimum wage bill that doesn't go into effect. Number one, what Dr. Roseanne Jones has already pointed out, is not generally needed in this community. Most people are already doing better than a minimum wage. And when it does go into effect, it's only going to be 50 cents, and it's going to take 4 months from where we are today to even start talking about all of that. It's too much, too little, too late. It's a lot of showboating going on over at the legislature. And as I said last night, don't get me started on FESPAC. We don't have the money to send 100 people to delegate for Guam over at FESPAC. Go and do fundraisers. Go and make T-shirts and sell those, and go and wash cars and do all of that. We got to stop acting like we're the richest island in the Pacific and start taking care of real priorities for the people of Guam. That's why we elected your colleagues over at the legislature. So you want to move articles of impeachment? I would suggest you do it. I think there's plenty of draft pieces that you can find in the national news in Washington, D.C.
And Senator, I know this isn't, you didn't think of this in haste. You know, what is your recourse now? Are you going to file an ethics complaint? Is that how you start the process?
Well, we've been gathering all the things that's been happening in the legislature from the beginning, how there's been, no fairness on the floor, how they have tried to sanction me, to shut me down, but yet allow their colleague to continue to speak. We have certain things that are in the mix right now, but I think it's for the benefit of the people of Guam that we don't deal with another year of her leadership as a speaker. This is ridiculous. She needs to step down and put somebody in there in that place that is fair. And when you're being fair to everyone in the legislature.
Well, I thought that was going to be, I remember in the beginning, I thought that was going to be Therese. I thought Therese was a shoo-in for the speaker job.
Oh, she should have been. That's for sure. If anybody could stand there and actually know the rules of engagement, it would be her.
7:54. Listen, I got to let you run. I get one of your other colleagues on the line. I wanted to get Jimmy's thoughts on this as well.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Thank you, Mana.
All right, Tello. I'll see you pretty soon, Senator. 7:55. Senator Jim Moylan online as well, and sent out almost immediately after the session yesterday his thoughts on the debacle that took place with 181 and FESPAC. Good morning, Senator Moylan.
Hey, good morning, Ray. Yeah, that was a debacle, all right. Very disappointed on how that came about. No one disagrees that the payment for the war claims needs to be done, but how this bill was ramrodded through us here, your body of the legislature, was very. It was very sad. It shouldn't have been that way, and we should have been given the opportunity to discuss this. We went in there with the understanding that it's just going to be 181, and we're going to move forward from there. And I asked about, how about our committee on rules? What else is on the agenda? Yeah. So there's going to be no committee on rules. It's too late to have a committee on rules. I was there the day before session, and I was watching the staff set up for a committee as a whole with the tables up front and everything. They got all that set up. They had to set up the microphones and so forth. So it looks like it was going to go that way, and that's what was discussed on the air. That was mentioned as well, too. The next day when I went in there, there's no tables, and nothing was said to the body. And we were supposed to start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but we didn't start till 3. I was twiddling our thumbs. What's going on here? Yeah. And no explanation as well. And probably because they're still printing the new version as submitted on the floor. And we could have gotten that version a lot sooner. We could have discussed it as well.
Well, let me lean on that for just a second, because there are some, Tello among them, and certainly Senator Terlahi, that is also enraged because there are significant changes to 181 that probably should have called for some kind of a public hearing. We've got no cap now on the dollars, kind of nebulous as to where the funding is going to be coming from, and then we've got the idea that all of this has to be blessed with an MOU between Guam and the federal government of the United States. That's going to take months to put together.
Absolutely.
In the very least, weeks. I mean, I think if we worked on it pretty quick, I mean, Tony Babauta might be able to flesh something out in a few minutes, but how long will that MOU take? We can write whatever we want to, but Washington is still going to want to do due diligence on it.
That's correct. and all I'm told is that just trust me. I can't do that. That's not why I was elected. No, you proved to me, and then I could say, as an elected official, I see this as a good plan. But I was just stifled out there, and we can't do anything about it. And it's on the third reading file. We never had a chance to really look over this version, and they know they had it way in advance.
Yeah.
It was all typed out way in advance, but it was a gameplay.
Well, the other thing that's going to turn out to be an annoyance for me is I hear what I think is unity certainly between you and Senator Teichtegui, but I've got to remind everybody that the minority leader Will Castro put his hand shot up before anybody else's did over at the legislature yesterday when it came to adopting it and moving it to the third reading file. So I've got to say that this is something that will have, quote, bipartisan support on it. You would think that the Republicans, in the very least, the Republicans over at the legislature would say, we're not standing for this. You own it. Democrats, majority, you own this disaster.
Yeah, Will was also a co-sponsor of the bill as well.
Yeah.
His reasoning, and we had discussions in caucus about the bill. And
don't sing with him anymore. You know, at the beginning when you guys get up there and sing the anthems, don't sing with him anymore.
Stand to the other side. Okay, that's fine. But it was a tactical play. And, the Robert's Rules of Orders and how we're supposed to run things is there so the voices can be heard, not that you can stifle the other voices. It's there so we can.
Yeah, but I thought that was ridiculous as well when it had been brought up, at least in the speakers chat yesterday, about how it was that Therese was silenced as quickly, and they said that was because that she wasn't able to quote at the very last minute. The parliamentarian advised that since no specific violation of the rule was stated, the point of order was out of order, and I think that's nonsense. I think if that had come from anybody else, they would have let the objection stand. But as it was, since she couldn't cite chapter and verse where the objection was coming from, she was shouted down.
That's correct. And our legislature is there created for democracy. And with the democracy, we have discussions.
Yeah.
But it was
good look on that. We got to stop our discussion here. I got the news coming up. Jimmy, I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Thank you, Ray. Have a great day.
I will. Next beer summit's going to be crazy. It's 8 a.m. Hey, USG, I got you. This is the point.
Trump could become just the third president in U.S. history to be impeached. The gravity not lost on either side.
And whether Donald Trump leaves in 1 month, 1 year, or 5 years, this impeachment is permanent. It will follow him around for the rest of his life, and history books will record it.
California Congressman Ted Lieu says the children are watching, but Republican Congressman James Comer says Democrats haven't even come close to proving their case.
The people I represent in Kentucky, the very people who voted for this president to enact change and fight for this country, are appalled at the charade they've seen in the House in recent months.
Fox's Jared Halpern is live on Capitol Hill.
House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff has played a leading role in a months-long impeachment inquiry. He says uncovered impeachable offenses by President Trump.
To coerce Ukraine into doing his electoral dirty work.
Hours of debate have often been heated with references to the Founding Fathers and Bible verses. Ohio Republican Bill Johnson called for a moment of silence.
And remember the voices of the 63 million American voters the Democrats today are wanting to silence.
Republicans accused Democrats of pushing a political impeachment without proving any facts that President Trump abused his power. Lisa.
Well, Jared, President Trump is heading to Michigan for a rally. Vice President Mike Pence at a campaign event there earlier today.
Michigan and America need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House.
Pence also slamming what he calls a partisan impeachment. America is listening to Fox News.
This Christmas, GTA announces the magic of giving. We've custom designed a line of 9 pop socket accessories that honor 3 organizations whose main goal is to help children. They are the Harvest House, Regalu Foundation, and Sanctuary Incorporated. For every customized pop socket sold in our stores, all of the proceeds will be donated to these great charities. This Christmas, come into GTA and be a part of the magic of giving. GTA, we start with you.
Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro brings you island hospitality with a true taste of modern Chamorro cuisine. A bistro look that feels like home. Their menu features local and traditional flavors with a twist. From their famous Calaguan Hafa to fresh ahi poke salad and their award-winning barbecue ribs. Mescla takes your favorite local dishes and serves them with extra flair that you'll only find at Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Stop by their newest location in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. For reservations, call 969-2652. Mescla, a true taste of Guam.
At the height of the holiday season, a deadly attack at a shopping center in suburban Portland, Oregon. Police say a man stabbed multiple people, killing one, wounding others. He was later captured after driving a stolen car to a different suburb. There's a new federal initiative aimed at reducing violent crime.
Flanked by the director of the FBI and heads of the ATF, DEA, and U.S. Marshal's Office, Attorney General William Barr announcing a launch in Detroit.
We're calling it Operation Relentless Pursuit.
A two-pronged attack.
To address the problem of violent crime levels in some of our major cities.
A surge of federal agents and the allocation of initially $71 million to add hundreds of more police officers in Detroit, Memphis, Baltimore, Kansas City, Cleveland, Milwaukee, and Albuquerque, all where violent crime rates are still higher than the national average. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
The Attorney General and the FBI chief also fielding questions again about the recent Inspector General's report, critical of FBI missteps under the former director, James Comey, in the surveillance of a Trump campaign aide in 2016.
The report, in my view, describes behavior and performance that I consider unacceptable and also unrepresentative of who we are as an institution.
FBI Director Christopher Wray says he's proposed over 40 reforms, more than what the Inspector General recommended. Recapping today's historic debate in the U.S. House, a vote on 2 articles of impeachment expected in the next few hours. The president charged with abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. The timing of tonight's House vote could be very close to when the president takes the stage for a rally in Michigan. Elisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Cocoa Coffee Company is now available at Circle K. Single origin coffee beans carefully sourced and locally roasted to give you the freshest cup of coffee Guam has to offer. Grab a cup that's brewed every 30 minutes or purchase a bag of the locally roasted whole beans. Flavors now serving: light medium roasted Ethiopia and medium dark roasted Jamaican Blue Mountain. Exclusively available at Circle K. With every Cocoa Coffee Company purchase, a portion of the proceeds will go towards the Cocoa Recovery Program.
A diamond ring turns into a black pearl and hangs shimmering in the sky.
Join 93.3 The Point for a spectacular celestial event. On the evening of December 26th, a rare solar eclipse will take place just before sunset.
We see the sun's atmosphere, normally not visible.
Most of the sun will be blocked during the eclipse, leaving only a ring of fire visible, and we have the best seats and the safest way to watch it.
It's one of the great wonders of the solar system.
Join us at the Point Coffee Lounge at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort from 4 to 6 p.m. on December 26th. The first 100 guests will receive a pair of Eclipse viewing glasses, a complimentary glass of iced tea, and a coupon good for discounts at Sheraton's Surfers Point Bar or La Cascada Buffet Restaurant. Join us for the Point's 2019 Eclipse Viewing Party, December 26th from 4 to 6 p.m. at the beautiful Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort. Brought to you in part by Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort, Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro, and your sky-watching friends at 93.3 The Point.
Day and good morning. It's 8:06. I'm Ana Silva Tyron with some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. There are still lingering questions over a measure that was pushed through the legislature seeking to pay out a fraction of the war claims, but the bill was placed on the voting file nonetheless. And as a result of this action and all that led up to it, one senator is now calling for the impeachment of the Speaker of the legislature. Bill 181 would use local funds to pay war reparations. Senators feel they were rushed and denied a chance to talk about what they call significant changes to that bill. Senator Therese Terlahi says there's no cap and it's pretty much a blank check. She objected on the session floor when her colleagues went to vote to move the measure into the voting file, saying that the bill is completely different, the funding source is different, and her fundamental objection is passing the bill without any discussion. She'd raised her objection on the floor, asking why the substitute version would not have first been discussed with the Committee of the Whole so the administration and BBMR could provide input on how they intend to fund this measure. She has asked her colleagues to allow for a review of the substitute version and discussion on the measure, but was told that she was out of order by Speaker Tina Munya-Barnes, who said that the motion for the vote had already been made. Particularly, Senator Talahi took issue with the removal of a $7.5 million cap that was in the original legislation to pay out adjudicated claims and the funding source for the transfer of the money. Meanwhile, Senator Tello Taitagui has called for the impeachment of the Speaker, Tina Munya-Barnes. Taitagui, who is fired up over actions on the floor of the legislature yesterday, Taitagui is upset over apparently being ignored when asking Barnes to be recognized on the floor. Taitagui states that she requested from the Speaker to be recognized so that she could make a motion to reconsider action. Taitagui says when she was walking back to her seat, Barnes gavelled out and recessed session. Taitagui is concerned with the call of session without a rules meeting and advance notice to review the bills on the agenda, and she was also upset over not being allowed to review the changes to Bill 181 prior to being called into session, the changes made in committee. Meanwhile, some senators are up in arms over the placement of Bill 249 on the session agenda. That bill by Senator Kelly Marsh and others would provide funding for the Festival of the Pacific Arts to the agenda. Senator Taitagui and Telena Nelson objected, Taitagui saying that they were not notified of the bill being added to the agenda. Senator Telena Nelson says that they have more pressing matters to attend to. Marsh, meanwhile, says that her bill needs to be passed before December 20th, as that's the deadline to purchase discounted airline tickets for participants. She says doing so will save the government tens of thousands of dollars. More news after this.
Did you know that home loan rates have plunged again? Would you like to take advantage of these lower rates to help lower your monthly payments? Refinancing doesn't have to be for another 30 years. It can be for 10, 15, or 20 years. It's up to you. Reduce your monthly payments. Pay off your loan earlier. At Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender. Credit conditions apply.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Pictures and video of his apparent arrest had been widely circulated. The images of the arrest of Richard A. Gapison Jr., who was taken into custody after he picked up a package from the post office containing 3 pounds of ice. The federal and criminal complaint was filed in the federal court against Gapison. According to court documents, he was found in possession of a package that contained 1,355 grams of methamphetamine that had been sent to him from California. Gapison was arrested at the Barrigada post office after he picked up the package and left the building on Tuesday afternoon. Federal authorities, after obtaining a warrant, placed a tracking device inside the parcel. A yellow slip was then placed in Gapison's post office box. It was around 11 a.m. when he brought the yellow slip to pick up the package at the window. He was stopped while trying to leave the facility in his white Mitsubishi Outlander. During an interview with Homeland Security investigators and Guam Customs and Quarantine, Gapison allegedly admitted that he knew the package contained meth, stating also that he received 2 packages of meth at the facility. The first package he received several months ago containing approximately 3 pounds of methamphetamine. The criminal complaint charges Gapison with attempted possession of methamphetamine with the intent to distribute. DOC's warden, Alan Borja, has been served his adverse action following an internal affairs investigation and a criminal investigation by Guam police. Borja is accused of refusing to perform his prescribed duties, insubordination, and other misconduct, which was not specified. According to the Guam Federation of Teachers, he has until December 20th to respond to the adverse action. Borja is disciplined for talking to the Guam Daily Post on September 25th. He maintains his position at the Department of Corrections, but has been temporarily assigned to the Department of Parks and Recreation. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
I got you. It's 8:12 in the morning, and there's going to be it's just another beautiful day here in the forecast. Mostly sunny, breezes with isolated showers. There's northeast winds 15 to 25 miles an hour, decreasing a little bit tonight. Highs near 87 degrees, and overnight lows are going to be about 77 degrees. Sunset tonight at 5:57. Round up the team. Tell the others, because we're going to do some sunset hunting tonight. And my recommendation for sunset hunting is right outside the Outrigger Hotel in beautiful Tumon Bay. Busy, busy, busy on the inside, but there's always some great people that you can meet and some great drinks that you can have in the Bamboo Lounge right there in the front. And yeah, I'm making a big deal about sunset over at the Outrigger because today we've got Renee back in the studio.
Hey,
Yay!
half a day.
Half a day. God, it's great to see you.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all of that stuff to you. Now, here's the deal. Renee has won for like the last 2 weeks the football pick'ems, and she had to come in and pick up her prizes, number one. And we figured, what the heck? We're moving into what I consider to be the most challenging week for pick'ems since the NFL has started. So we need a little bit of extra help on that. We'll pretend to talk about sports in just a little bit. Also, working in a little bit of traffic and weather information now. Michael Knight with a look at the weather radar. It doesn't look like anything has changed, but I'll refresh it just in case.
Yeah, not much has changed. We do have these weak line of showers off to the southeast, several little lines, and it looks like that might clip us a little bit later, but any rain we get out of it will be very, very brief and very, very light. So no big deal. Today will be much like yesterday, lots of sunshine and a nice breeze, and some of these showers will be moving on through, so no big deal. That's trade wind weather for us.
And a quick look at the satellite doesn't show too much in the neighborhood, a little bit of a disturbance down to the south, but by this afternoon it will be past us and probably isn't going to have any impact on us whatsoever. So expect a nice sunset tonight over at the Outrigger Hotel. 8:15 in the morning, we'll pretend to talk about sports next.
Want to grow your business? Start a new venture? Or stay ahead of the competition? You can. With Docomo Pacific Smart Business Solutions tailored to your specific needs and ambitions, you can do it all. Partner with a network with best-in-class network coverage, state-of-the-art communication platforms, and a team dedicated to providing you with premium support. Call 688-2677 to start your journey to success today. Docomo Pacific Business, delivering your future today.
Celebrate your holiday festivities with dinner at Hyatt Regency Guam on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day at Al Dente Ristorante. Enjoy a holiday family set menu, which includes Fiorentina steak, lobster tail, and an array of Italian favorites, suitable for up to a family of 4. Eat, drink, and be merry during the holidays at Hyatt Regency Guam's Al Dente Ristorante. To make your reservations, please call 647-1234.
It's the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point, being brought to you by all kinds of folks, including the dudes over at Take Care Insurance, and they've got this whole thing, the spiel that starts off with offering proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage you and your family to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle, preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing, unwinding, and being socially connected. Also being brought to you by the guys over at Mescla. I got Mescla in this break, right? And we've been talking about their Kahlua pork and cabbage, so let me just change it up here and remind you that they've also got seafood lao lao, which is a medley of salmon, shrimp, scallops, and fresh spinach. They wrap it all up in tea leaves, steam it to order, top with soy butter sauce. I say soy butter sauce, and I get that tingly feeling where the saliva gland is, and I hope you do as well. Go and find that today at Mescla in Agana and now in Tumon at the Grand Plaza Hotel. For reservations, give them a ring, 969-2652. American President Lines brings you portions of the program as well. APL, a global presence with a local home. And if you are tired of your old doctor, go get a new one. American Medical Center is open for business. 3 locations, Upper Tumon, Mangilaw, and Oka Tumuning. They take all kinds of insurance, including the new Aetna, so call them 647-8262.
Rediscover talk radio here. It's the Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Oh, the commentary this morning in the Facebook Live is, it's brutal. It is brutal. If you're a member of the majority over at the 35th Guam Legislature, if this is any indication of what things might be like going into this upcoming election, I'd be scared. I'd be very scared.
You know,
You're
I was,
being watched.
When I was listening to Senator Moylan speaking and just thinking back on the opportunity, had the Republican Party been united, the Democrats pushing the bill would not have had the votes to move it forward, because I believe there was enough on the Democrat side to stop that movement.
Right.
But
see, and now
the minority leader jumped to the other side. And so, you know, that just goes back to what I was saying yesterday. You know, there really needs to be somebody in the leadership position that unites that group, because they're so powerful as a united front.
Yeah, and well, and also in the case where they're going to tout bipartisan support, even though it only had the one vote from Will Castro. In my mind, it would be much better if the Republicans, just as a rule, like they did with Obamacare, just hands off. This is a disaster. We know it's a disaster. We're going to let you own it. But because Will has jumped over, as you said, to the other side, I don't think they're going to have the opportunity to make that claim, and everybody's going to get hung from the same tree on it.
But not only the fact that they were trying to, you know, there was questions and concerns over the bill.
Minority leaders should have stood up. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Will needed to stand up a little bit more.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. Renee's in the studio, and we'll break away from the political yak for I don't know, a minute or two, because it's time for us to pretend to talk about sports here on The Point. My, what an exciting day. Primarily because we've got Renee back in the studio, and there's nothing wrong with that. As always, welcome back. It's nice to see you. And congratulations on your football pick'ems. You did last couple of weeks you've been winning.
It's been a little bit of luck. A little bit of research, a little bit of follow-up.
Yeah, well, I'm doing the research, and I'm getting to a point where, you know, there's going to be a lot of coin flipping this weekend.
Also, like if you keep betting on the Bills, you're likely to win.
I've noticed that. Where are the Bills here? And
we're in the playoffs.
But it's a weird weekend because they're playing against New England, and that's a team that most people don't like betting against. So we'll start talking about that in a second. But Mike wants to start with running. We know that there is a 5K this weekend. It's going to take place up at Simon Sanchez. It is the Winter Wonder Run 5K. Go time is at 6. Show time is at 5. Register now at Hornet and Simon Sanchez. And I thought that was going to be the last race of the decade. It's not.
There's one more.
It is the Christmas in Paradise 5K run. There's a 2K on it as well. The school with the largest group pre-registered can win up to $500. This is Leah's Fabulous Productions that is making the presentation on this. It's going to take place at the Teedson Baseball Field. Showtime 5 in the morning. Go time at 6. It's after Christmas, before New Year's. You're going to have a lot of turkey and ham and all kinds of stuff that you're going to need to work off. Grand prize is a ticket for you and a friend to go to the Philippines. You need to sign up. Early registration's $10. Race day registration is $15. Group of 4 is going to set you back $35. So you either get a group of 4 or do like I do and just buy the whole thing and then have 4 chances to win the airplane ride to Manila. That's the way that's going to work. And I'm not. And then what do you guys? There's this whole group that you run with.
Well,
what are you going to be up to?
Well, also for anybody that is interested, the Guam Running Club, as far as I'm aware, is going to be doing registrations on that run on the 28th. So anybody that
registrations for
the membership
for membership. Okay, they normally do that over at the Turkey Trot, but a lot of people were otherwise busy on Thanksgiving morning, so it wasn't as big a crowd as it normally is, and so get yourself signed up for it. And then the next big GRC race is that the
Cross Island?
It's the Cross Island. Yeah, about 10 miles, almost 10 miles.
6, I think.
Yeah, and there's lots of hill. Just FYI, there's plenty of hill. So if you're one of those people that I believe that the hills define runners, hills build character, and I've got a shallow character as a runner. So I generally grimace at the idea that I've got to go run that. But it is one of the big welcome back from vacation kind of runs that we've got out there. 8:21 in the morning. Michael Knight's got a couple of local stories.
Yeah, some high school baseball playoff action from Robert Balahaja over at GSPN. And with their backs against the wall, the Indy Royals managed to capitalize on their strong start, and they defeated the JFK Islanders 8-6 in the championship game yesterday evening at the Leo Palace baseball field. Now, this win forces another game because it's a double elimination format. So that sets the stage for the grand finale Saturday morning. JFK had gone unbeaten in the postseason before heading into Wednesday, and the Royals were well aware of the uphill battle that was defeating the Islanders twice, and that's hard to do, but that managed to get it done. JFK starting pitcher Job Andrew takes the loss, and Peretta gets the win. The championship game location still not determined yet, but the go time will be 10 o'clock this Saturday morning.
They don't know where it is, but they know what
No.
time it starts?
More than likely probably be at Leo Palace,
Yeah.
but right now that's not set.
Saturday, 21st of December, the Paseo Stadium is going to be busy. Guam Special Olympics starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. Games all day. Mark Colby is going to be your ring announcer for all of that. So congratulations, Mark, behind the scenes, behind the microphone once again these days, and that's always nice. 8:22 in the morning, it's the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3, and about time for us to take a look at week number 16 of the regular season of the National Football League.
Nothing is working.
Take it away.
Yeah, between the phones and everything else this morning, it's been very challenging.
All right, well, it's Monday somewhere, and the challenges here for week number 16. Normally, you get a bunch of teams, and you got the guaranteed winners and the guaranteed losers. We got the heroes and we got the underdogs, and this week the matchups are just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, just all of them. We got Houston against Tampa Bay, and they're both kind of middling teams. Houston with a 9-5 record, and Tampa Bay with a 7-7 record. And I have no idea. So I'm going to be looking at you guys to help me out with the pick'ems this week, or at least help guide the decision. What do you say? Houston versus Tampa Bay. You're a Houston guy.
Yeah, it's got to. Houston should take this game. Tampa Bay certainly the lesser team, and Houston really still trying to fight with the Titans to take that division.
Yeah.
So
You agree with that?
I was going to go Houston as well.
Okay, so all three of us are saying Houston. This one's going to be tricky, I know, for you because you're such a big Buffalo Bills fan. But they're playing.
I think they're
going to
win.
They're
You can
playing
call
New-
me crazy, but I'm still going to go Bills on this
Well,
one.
New England has had a rough time out for the last couple of
Yeah.
games, so I'm wondering if there might be something to that prediction. What are you thinking?
I got to give the Patriots the benefit of the doubt because they're at home here. But the Patriots have been exposed in the second half of the
They've
season.
been exposed.
And the Bills have been
down.
working for the last 2 or 3 years to get better, and it looks like they finally got there.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and like I said, they're fairly evenly matched. It's an 11-3 record for the Patriots and a 10-4 record for the Bills. San Francisco against the Rams, a little bit easier on this one, huh?
Could be. It's in San Fran. I went with San Francisco, but the Rams had an embarrassing game against Dallas last week, and you know Wade Phillips is going to look to get his defense on track. Could be a close game.
All right, well, I'm going to go Niners anyway. What do you think, Renee?
San Francisco as well.
Okay, Atlanta and Jacksonville. These guys are so evenly matched, it's not funny. They're 5-9 for the season.
Yeah, it's in Atlanta, and Atlanta has the better quarterback, so I'm going with the Falcons.
Home
Concur?
field advantage. Yep.
All right, home field advantage. That's normally what I look at before I flip a coin is to see who's playing where, and if they're that evenly matched, well, maybe we'll get a little bit of a home field advantage as well. This one a little bit easier to call. Looks like Baltimore over Cleveland.
Yep.
Baltimore is 12-2 and has been doing just outstanding recently.
And right now, they're my hands-on favorite to get to the Super Bowl this year. They just seem like a team of destiny, and they should crush Cleveland. This should not even be close.
New Orleans and Tennessee, again, this one rather an easy call. New Orleans with an 11-3 record against Tennessee, which is not doing 11-3.
Yeah, I've got to go with the Saints. They're just a much better team. But again, Tennessee's got they got some inspiration. They'll be at home. Again, they're fighting to try to stay with the Texans in the division, so it'll be a good game.
And not a big spread on that one.
No, I know, surprisingly, yeah.
All right, we got Indianapolis and Carolina.
Indianapolis is just in trouble, but I've got to give them the edge here because I think Carolina's in worse trouble. And
also playing at home.
Yeah, and Indianapolis is at home, and they also are looking to bounce back from a pretty embarrassing loss yesterday.
All right, now we've got two of the worst teams in the NFL playing, Miami and Cincinnati. This is bum fights, guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be a dumpster fire one way or the other. Or it might be fun to watch. It might be one of those games where you go, you get these two lousy teams, but they were actually pretty good in the field.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll match up well, and I expect this game actually to be pretty high scoring because neither team really has much of a defense. It's in Miami. I got to go with the Dolphins, but really just toss this up. I'd flip a coin, basically.
All right, well, you're right. Miami's playing at home. Is that enough of a home field advantage for them? I mean, they spec out a tiny bit better.
I mean, typically I always try to bet against the Dolphins as well as the Patriots, but sadly, I think they're going to take this one too.
All right, a couple more middling teams here. We got Pittsburgh against New York. Anybody?
Well, I'm going with Pittsburgh. New York's
I think
just
so,
a worse team, and Pittsburgh actually they're trying to fight for a playoff spot. So they need to win this game.
Well, they're heavily favored among the in the pick distribution as well, so I think maybe it'd be safe to do that one here. Another very, very well-matched set of teams here. We got Washington and the New York Giants. They spec out at 3 wins and 11 losses apiece.
Both of these teams coming from the disaster that is the NFC East this year. And Dallas and Philly, of course, leading that division. Neither team with a winning record. These teams, the worst of that. The Giants are better. Manning is back in at quarterback, and I think he's going to look to kind of make a splash as he plays what may very likely be his last 2 games of his career.
What do you think, Renee? Giants?
I'm going to go Giants with that one, too.
Okay, that's I'll go ahead and mark that. I have no reason other than what you guys are saying right now to believe there's something else.
He might play next year.
Yeah,
but
okay.
We don't know.
But I bet it'll be for another team because the way he got treated this year just wasn't cool.
Denver over Detroit?
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to go to Denver and win. And the Lions have just had a rough year.
Yeah, Chargers and Oakland here.
I shouldn't pick the Chargers because they find a way to lose every single week, but I'm going to go ahead and give them the home field advantage, although it's not really. They've only been there this season. Yep. This, again, is another game that could go either way in my mind.
Dallas and, okay, so we're all concurring on that one. It's going to be a Charger game. Dallas and Philly, 7-7 apiece.
This is for the NFC East title, basically. The team that wins this game, there are scenarios where if the Eagles win both of the next 2 games and Dallas were to lose one of them, particularly this one, then they would lose the division. But right now, Cowboys got to have control of the division, and they'll probably look to keep a hold of it. It's in Philly. Going to be a tough game, and, you can expect for, foreign objects to be thrown on the field and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
That's Philly fans
maybe even other fans might get thrown on the field here. So 7-7 apiece. You're going Philly. What do you think, Renee?
I'm going to go Dallas.
No, I'm going Dallas.
Oh, you're going Dallas.
But
Okay,
the game's in Philly.
There you go. Okay, I was going to go Dallas as well, and just hope that the Dallas Blue will ride the day here. Kansas City and Chicago.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs.
Okay,
Nope,
Casey
no
looking
problem.
good this
That's
year.
easy. Yeah, that's easy.
And then there's this game here, and it's a Monday night game, and this is a must view Monday night game in my opinion. We got Minnesota Vikings taking on the Packers.
Yeah, I've got to go with the Vikings. They're trying to keep pace, and hold on to something. I think.
Green Bay's is ahead of them by 1 victory.
Yeah, it's a hard game to pick. The Packers have been a little more consistent this year than the Vikings, but I'm going to go with the Vikings here just because that'll mess that division up really.
Yeah, okay. So let me put you down here as a Vikings guy. I haven't made my decision. Renee, what do you think?
Looks like everybody's going for Vikings, ESPN, Yahoo, so I'm just going to go with that one, too.
Yeah, and about 60% of the pickers. Also, one game we missed, Seattle will be hosting Arizona.
Oh,
Seattle
that's right.
Big in that game.
Yeah. And, the reason why I marked it, I just marked it yesterday, and so I skipped it. So, yeah, Seattle and Arizona, you know how I feel about Seattle.
One thing to
of my
remind
friends
you
that live
about
there.
Seattle and Arizona, they had a crazy game, but about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and Arizona almost beat them. So,
like I said, it's the toughest week in football as far as I'm concerned. We'll see what happens, and take a look at the brackets, and they're already starting to get filled out. We got Baltimore, and New England already got a spot here. Seattle and Green Bay have already got a spot on the and then the wild card guys are already picked out. So it looks like we are heading into Super Bowl and postseason time very, very quickly. 8:30 in the morning, and it is the holidays, and I got to ask Renee what you guys are up to over at the Outrigger. See, this is why she can come in here and talk about it and not get in trouble from her boss. Going, why are you on the radio? Always there with Ray. What's going on? And it's because I give you a chance to do some freebies for the hotel.
Well, a couple of big things going on. We just opened up our Ohana Beach Club. That's down by the beach, so that's open to the public. It's a brand new restaurant, beautiful setup. We got a big 70-inch TV down there, which we'll try to play the games here and there.
Really?
Yeah. Beautiful little setup.
So that's a place people use that for parties and things like that. That's to the outside and then down the stairs?
Yeah, well, to the right, if you go by the pool and then you go to the right down there.
Okay, all right. I know where the spot is. That's a great place for sunset viewing, as a matter of fact. And there's enough light coming from the this is why you want to do something there. There's enough light coming from the hotel that will help out the flash. You get these sunset pictures where you've got the beautiful girl in the bikini and there's a sunset behind her and she's all lit up. That's a great place to do that because there's a lot of light coming in from the hotel and the lights that you've got flooding the beach. So that's very, very cool. And it's open. Now, do I have to be a member? Because you called it Club Ohana.
No, it's Ohana Beach Club, but it's just because it's part of the hotel. But you can go down there as a resident or...
And just kind of amble up the beach and go find some place to eat. And you said there's a kitchen there?
There's a kitchen down there, and it's a brand new menu, various types of sandwiches,
cheeseburgers?
salads.
Is there cheeseburgers?
Cheeseburgers.
Is there hot wings?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I needed to hear.
And beer.
And beer. Oh, there's beer. There's beer drinking at the beach. Imagine now. Now you guys busy with the buffets and things like that for you got a Christmas buffet going, right?
Yeah, we're busy in Palm Cafe, so we still have some reservations available for Christmas Day brunch, Christmas dinner, and then on New Year's Eve we're gonna have just a enhanced menu in the Palm Cafe, and then we're gonna have Rumblefish in the Bamboo Bar.
Oh,
so
right
we'll be
on.
doing our New Year's Eve party.
Did
there.
you hear that, Mona? It's going to be Rumblefish playing at the Outrigger on New Year's. Okay, so everybody start making
Jesse
plans.
and Ruby and Rumblefish.
Should we make reservations for any of this stuff?
For the restaurant, yes. For the Bamboo Bar New Year's Eve party, no.
Yeah, just roll in. Do as we did last year. You'll start at one hotel and just kind of work your way down all of the others. It's a nice little parade that you can do. And you go to the Outrigger, and then when we're done with the Outrigger, we'll go hang out over at the Deucet, and then we'll walk over to the Hyatt and see what's going on at all of those places. Well, Merry Christmas to you. I'm so glad that you had a chance to come in and say hello. Always nice to get that pretty face on the camera. And that, I think, is all the time that we've got to pretend to talk about sports, right? Mona Silva Tyrant has got headlines coming up after these.
Ever notice how that one perfect holiday gift is just out of reach? Or how sales on the stuff you want all come at the same time? This season, plan ahead with a holiday loan from First Hawaiian Bank. Now you can afford to be nice without being naughty. For more details, visit FHB.com or any branch to apply. Additional restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Are you ready for some football? The Ray Gibson Show has got your fix every day with the Points NFL Pick'em contest. Get the latest updates as we check out the past week's performance and break down the upcoming action. Get your game on by calling the hotline at 888-TALK or sound off on Facebook Live at thepoint.gu. League members get a chance to win some awesome weekly prizes with a shot for your choice of a new GTA phone. The NFL Pick'em contest is brought to you by Current Guam with special thanks to GTA.
It is just my good fortune to work with ladies that light up any room that they're in. It's nice to have Renee come by the radio station as we get closer and closer to Christmas Day and the football pick'ems. We'll see what kind of a disaster all of our picks turned out to be. It's been a while since we've done cold collaboration like this, but it'll be interesting to see if our pick'ems survive the actual days of play that are going to be coming up. And we've got, the first game is going to be tomorrow, Houston against Tampa Bay. And I don't normally sweat that, but I look at the outcome of that first game into the weekend, and that sets up my anxiety level for the rest of the weekend. I'm sure it's the same with you.
Yeah, indeed. And actually, the first three games are tomorrow. There's triple header tomorrow.
I didn't notice that. Okay, you're right. Yeah, they're all getting played. So we got Houston and Tampa Bay, New England and Buffalo, and San Francisco at Los Angeles, and that'll all be done by close of business tomorrow.
Yeah, so you'll either be heading into the weekend with a nice lead or other.
Or other. I see what you're saying. It's 8:34 in the morning, and about time for our last look at headlines. Now with news from the Guam Daily Post, here's Mona Silva Tyrant.
Things are getting progressively worse, and now Senator Tello Taitagui is calling for the Speaker of the Legislature to be impeached. She says Taitagui is upset over actions to the placement of a bill on the session agenda and its subsequent placement in the voting file. She now wants Speaker Tina Munya-Barnes to be impeached. That bill, which is the focus of all the contention, is Bill 181 that would pay for war claims using local funds. Senators are concerned with changes that were made to the bill in the committee, changes that they say they were not allowed to review or have any discussion on. Session, though, continues today, and that bill may be voted on before the close of the day. A federal criminal complaint was filed in the federal court against Richard Gapison. Gapison was found in possession of a package that contained 3 pounds of methamphetamine that was sent to him from California. The arrest was captured on video and circulated throughout the media and social media. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, pick up a copy of the Daily Post or log on to their website at postguam.com.
8:35 in the morning. Certainly a lot of fireworks over at the legislature yesterday, and imagine what it's going to be like today.
Lots of fun.
Because they got to get in there, and Kelly Marsh is going to have kittens if they don't pass the FESPAC bill and save us thousands of dollars in airplane rides out to send this 100-person delegation to FESPAC. Somebody pointing out on Facebook Live, we could save $400,000 if we don't go to FESPAC.
Exactly. But I'm going to particularly watch because I want to see all the dirty looks that Senator Taitagui is going to get after her call for impeachment.
There's a book I read many years ago called Thick Face, Black Heart, and it is a Chinese philosophy. If you're gonna get things done, you have to have a thick face, which means you have to be able to deflect the atenbaba that you're going to get when you make some of these decisions or make some of these calls, i.e., impeach Speaker Tina Rose Munya Barnes. That's going to be interesting to watch how that plays out. And as she said, they're putting together what I like to refer to as the Pearl Harbor file, and the idea behind that, also I think coming from the Chinese, is you begin to mass up a number of violations that you feel are compelling, and then all at once drop the bomb on the speaker, and so some members of the legislature feel there has been enough of that, and they've got the file built up. So as I said, going to be an interesting day at the 35th Guam legislature. It's 8:37 in the morning, and that's iConnect time. Run to the nearest iConnect and say, hey, can you save me some money? And they got a whole panel of people there go, yeah, we can do that. They got all kinds of plans to help you save money. Mobile, internet, even push to talk. That's iConnect, 888-8888.
Half a day. This is Melanie Mendiola.
And this is Ricky Hernandez. We're with the Guam Economic Development Authority.
And we're both alumni of the University of Guam. We're calling on our fellow alumni to make an investment in Guam's future by contributing to the G is for Giving campaign. With your donation, you are giving more students the opportunity to graduate, making Guam a better place.
To make a tax-deductible donation, log on to give.uog.edu before December 31st or call 735-2957 for more information.
Viva UOG!
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training.
Hi, I'm Jerry Roberts, and every day on The Ray Gibson Show, I get to comment on the incredibly diverse, fun, challenging, sometimes frustrating, often exciting, but always interesting world of work. I hope you'll be there with us.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
I got to look at the traffic gizmo, but I'm trying to upload a picture to Facebook of me and Renee. Always do selfies on the way out, and I got a particularly good one today. Where am I? It's 8:38. Sorry, let me take a look at the traffic gizmo. Traffic going up Santos Hill West and all the way to Marine Corps Drive seems to be having a problem over at that intersection down by the West, and so watch out for that. We've got a couple of other hot spots that are working in the usual places up and down the overpass, underpass, 8, 10, and 16. A little bit busy, but running fairly smooth as I'm looking at it. Traffic on Marine Corps Drive, once you get past St. John's, as usual this time of day, should dissipate to just intersection traffic, so watch out for it. You got any accidents that I cannot see on my traffic gizmo, phone it in or give me a ring at the, what do you call it, the WhatsApp at 988-5874. Again, 988-5874. That's Right Now Traffic on the point.
Wow, nice smile. So perfect and all.
Thanks. I owe it all to Dr. Robert Yang and his smile team. They do wonders for a healthy, happy mouth.
Got teeth? Don't wait until they hurt. Schedule your routine checkup and cleaning with Dr. Yang and his smile team. Suite 119 in the East West Business Center, Upper Tumon. Call 647-8702 or 3.
The best thing that happened to teeth since toothpaste.
Dr. Yang and his smile team.
They make smiles happen.
Hey, what's that?
A Subway Big Hot Pastrami?
My big hot pastrami?
No, my Subway Big Hot Pastrami. Get your own.
Get your own Subway Big Hot Pastrami. Tender, juicy beef on freshly baked sunflower crunch bread, topped with pickles and mustard. Finish off your meal with all new seasoned potato wedges, baked to perfection right in the restaurant. Both available for a limited time only. Subway, make it what you want.
In the morning, it's the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point, and now it's just us. Mana's taking off for the day. Renee's gone. So Michael's working on something in the studio. It's just you and I as take a look at some of the interesting things that we've got floating around here. Played a couple of videos here this morning, both of them from the shenanigans that took place over at the legislature yesterday. There was a couple of things. One of them was the start of the process where they go into session, and it was supposed to be just one measure that they talked about, but as it turns out, out, it turned into a little bit of a free-for-all when suggestions were made on the floor that they move forward with a couple of other pieces of legislation. The FESPAC bill that would allow for, among other things, and this is one of those things where please read the bill before you vote on it. I get what it is that you're trying to do. One of the things that the measure does is it undoes existing law, and I don't think that this is possible, but it undoes existing law. One of the problems that they have with that $400,000 that they got from CAHA is the existing legislation states specifically that it cannot be used for travel. So they've got in this new version, in this new bill, they're trying to undo that. Frankly, I think there's room there to be able to take any FESPAC legislation that gets voted on to a court and have them put a stop on it, because I don't think you can do it prospectively, but I don't think you can go backwards on that. The other one is it kind of allows the FESPAC committee and others to write kind of a blank check on everything that they do. Whatever the committee feels is important to be a part of our FESPAC planning and execution, as they deem it necessary, they can control the spend. And it doesn't look like there's any caps on anything that are put in place there. So largely think it's kind of an irresponsible bill. And then they get into the one on war claims, and I've riffed enough, I think, on that one over the last several days, up to and including conversations with Congressman Mike Sinicolas on what needs to be done with that, and leave the job to him in Washington, D.C. He's got a vehicle that is already in motion, and what they're trying to do over at the legislature could upset that motion, number one, and number two, I don't believe solves the problem. I don't believe it gets any money into anybody's hands anytime sooner than what would take place in Washington, D.C. But that's just me. That's just me. No, it's not just me. I think there's a bunch of other people that feel exactly the same way. You know how I know? Because I can read the comments that are being made on Facebook Live this morning. 8:43, and I got some really good news about a couple of other folks in the community. I want an opportunity to share this good news with everybody. Earlier, I got wind that there was going to be some appointments being made out of the White House and President Donald J. Trump that would affect people from here on Guam, and in fact, regionally. It's the whole committee they've got put together. I got my very close, very personal friend, Doris Flores Brooks, on the line. Good morning, Doris.
Good morning, Ray. Merry Christmas to you and to all.
Oh, Merry Christmas to you and Jim. Welcome back is almost always an appropriate greeting. Well, you guys have been doing some serious traveling in the last month.
Yes, we did. We just got back from the Holy Land, and that was a fantastic experience, Ray.
Was that a bucket list item, or had you and Jim already been there?
Well, initially we were going there because Father Eric Forbes was going to be the priest accompanying us. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Father Eric is one of my favorite priests. But a couple of months ago, he was not able to go. And so we just wanted to continue our journey to the Holy Land.
Very good. Very good. And did you the places that you can go to in the Holy Land? You can get to Bethlehem and see where baby Jesus was born. And did you also go
the Stations of the Cross?
Yeah.
And we actually did. I think 11 of them are still there. Although we went very early. We had to get up at 5 a.m. to be there, to avoid all the crowds.
Well, it sounds like
it was a fantastic experience, and we even had a early highlight. We went to Petra in Jordan.
What's to do there?
Well, Petra, is in what's his name? Harrison Ford's movie. Raiders.
Oh yes, okay. I think I know some people that have.
It was a lost city for more than 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm. All right, and so you went off and did that. See, I was worried for a second there that you were going to quiz me on something that I would know if I'd actually paid attention in my catechism class. So, yeah. Thankfully, you did.
A lot of the highlights, even where Moses, we saw the Promised Land, to the Garden of Gethsemane, and another highlight is in the Pater Noster, the Our Father. When Jesus, you shall pray the Our Father. Mm-hmm. There's even a Chamorro version.
Hey. That's fascinating. Now, does this has it changed a little bit for you, the experience of this year's Christmas now, having been to the Holy Land, having been to the birthplace of Jesus?
Well, it's very moving, and yes, we need to get back to what is the real meaning of Christmas, and peace on earth, and goodwill to all men, and to help our fellow neighbors, which coincides with what the mission of the President's Advisory Council of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders.
Yes, absolutely delighted when I found out that you and Eddie had been nominated to that. And you're not the only familiar name. I see Amada Radowagan from American Samoa is on the list as well. So you're in some pretty highfalutin company here.
Cohen, remember David Cohen?
I didn't notice that. Yeah, Dave Cohen's on that list as well.
Yeah, so there are two Chamorros, two American Samoans.
Very, very good. And any number of other members of our Asia-Pacific community that are on this list. So now what happens next? The president has appointed you. Is there any kind of approval process that you've got to go through?
Yes. Well, what you have now is the announcement, and the appointment letter will happen in the next week or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, once the appointment letter is signed, that's when we officially begin.
Okay.
All right. And the chairman, there are two chairs. The chairman is Wilbur Ross of Commerce, and Commerce is actually going to be providing the funding support and the logistical support, and Elaine Chow of Transportation are the two chairs of this commission.
Well, what exactly does the commission do? I mean, how is my life made that much better because there exists an advisory commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders?
Well, I think the unique problems of the Pacific Islanders will be brought up. One of the things that I saw, for example, is every secretary has to appoint a senior member to this council, and it ranges from state to treasury, justice, social security, veterans affairs. So it will be an opportunity for Eddie and I to be able to voice a lot of Guam's concerns, and to get attention to them, and how we can change federal legislation or federal policy to help us. So this will be a voice for us to talk about the Guam story, why the territories are unique, what federal legislation is hampering us, what we need to do to make us more economically independent. These are opportunities for us to be able to talk the Guam story. And the more voices there are in Washington talking about the Guam story, the better our story can be heard and get people on our side to change policy or to change legislation that will empower us more.
I kind of like the idea, and I like the idea that the network is as wide as it is in the Asia Hood.
I think that's going to be the good access. We'll have senior officials in this area. Like I said, there's at least 20, 30, from OMB to EPA, Small Business Administration. All of those are going to be members of this council. And of course, there will likely be sub-councils to be appointed according to the executive order that the president has signed.
Okay. All right. Well, now, does this involve any travel? Are you and Eddie going to be able to get on the airplane every once in a while?
I've heard that. I don't know for sure. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure likely, of course, we don't get paid for this, and we're not looking for compensation because, for me, it's an honor to serve on this commission and to tell the Guam story. But it does say that transportation will be provided.
Nice. And now the other part of this is having to do with this process, because I'm kind of curious about how all of that happened. How did your and Eddie's name pop up for this? I mean, is it a Republican thing, or did they just kind of look around and say, well, Eddie's not governor anymore, and Doris isn't the OPA anymore, we'll just give him a job?
Yeah. No. But let me just say we've had prior people, other people from Guam appointed to this commission. This commission has been around for a long time. Martha Roof served on this commission as well, and Mary Okada served on it during the Obama administration.
I see.
So this commission has been around for a long time.
Well, yeah, but I don't pay that much attention to commissions and things like that. This is made that much sweeter, primarily because you and Eddie are involved.
The voice.
Yeah.
And it's made that much sweeter because when you look at the listing, 2 are from Guam.
Yes.
15 members, 2 are from Guam. And I think that really speaks volumes of Guam's importance here in the Pacific and the Indochina area, especially, with China and all. So I think that speaks volumes.
Well, they're certainly going to need to have boots on the ground here to continue that conversation on how we can maintain a little bit more presence here in the Pacific for the United States of America with an ascendant China and any more saber rattling China. Doris, it's always good to talk with you outside of the travel. What are you doing? What are you keeping yourself busy doing?
Well, Ray, I was just recently appointed. The legislature confirmed me, and I'll be seeing Governor Lulian Guerrero later to the Public Utilities Commission. So I'm the newest kid on the block.
Ah, very good. And there are more than one or two things to talk about over at the Public Utilities Commission.
Yes.
I'll make my pitch right now. I think there's a move with the CCU and the Guam Power Authority to roll rates back for ratepayers in 2020. And I want you to know.
Already been pretty much approved. I think the concern for the public going forward for the people of Guam is GWA's significant requests for rate increases for the next 5 years.
Yes.
Yes, that's about a 40 over the 5-year period. That's about they're requesting over a 43% increase in water rates.
Yeah, well, there's just so much construction and capex that they've got to do, and that's the only source of the money.
Yes, but it's still quite significant.
Yeah. I hear Simon talk about these kinds of things all the time, and don't know how we're going to be able to avoid them, to fix what we've got, and to make provisions for future growth and more demand of water and water services like wastewater. And I'm of the opinion I think there's going to be some tremendous changes on aspects of wastewater as well. At least that's my understanding from a conversation I had with Tyrone over at Stats and Plans. At any rate, I want to offer you my congratulations. I first heard about this from a mutual friend.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think it is a big deal.
Serving the people of Guam through this commission.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch. Doris Forrest Brooks, ladies and gentlemen, a new member of the President's Council on the Asians and Pacific Islanders, and our issues out here. I'll talk to you soon. Merry Christmas. Hug and a kiss to Jim. All right.
Likewise, happy holidays and Merry Christmas to the people of Guam.
It's 8:53 in the morning. 888-825-5888-TALK. That's always nice. You have a piece of good news on what is already starting to feel like a preamble to what could be a frowny face Friday. But you know the rule is we don't frowny face on Fridays, even if it is bad news, even if it turns out that the people over at the legislature have turned a blind eye to internal critics and external critics. Try to have a smile on your face as it gets through Friday. People over at the legislature. When I put time is running out, somebody's asked me about this. He said, title of the program today is Time is Running Out. Is that the time between here and Christmas? Because that certainly is time is running. No, time is running out on certain political careers over at the legislature. There are already a number of you that have been identified by Facebook Live viewers, YouTube Live viewers, as one and done. Congratulations, you made it into the 35th Guam legislature. Don't even try to run for the 36th because it'll just be an embarrassment. It's 8:54 in the morning. Other news stories that are interesting to talk about. I got Nick Delgado from the Guam Daily Post, and I like to catch up with him at least once a week because he's got the court beat. And if you're not getting frowny faced on things going on over at the legislature, very easy to get frowny faced on some of the things that are taking place in the courthouse. Good morning, Nick. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Ray. Doing well.
I'm glad to hear that. You got everything all set up with you and your partner on for Christmas and New Year's?
We're going to try and brave the crowds for this final week of shopping.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any advice for the listeners on, and when I say listeners, I mean me, any advice on, because I haven't even started.
Right, and this is the case for me every year, Ray, and what I find myself doing is after I get off work on Christmas Eve, hitting the stores at night, and checking those guys that are out there wrapping the gifts at the malls and just doing whatever I can because this is all I can resort to.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, it's certainly going to be trickier and tricky this year with fewer retail locations. It's amazing how many regular retail spaces we started the year with that have turned into restaurants in the last year.
Right.
Where's all the cool shopping down Tumon? I don't know. That place is gone. We stuck a restaurant in there.
Well, better give them some food gift certificates or something.
8:55 in the morning. Another clever idea is if you can't do it with a wrapping present, then nobody ever looks the other way at an envelope full of gift certificates and cash. So you might want to think about doing something like that. Did you cover the story about that video that went viral a couple of days ago of that bust at the post office? Is that your story?
It's not mine, but I did see the story. Yeah.
Amazing, isn't it? It turns out it's exactly what I thought it was. They had found some methamphetamine, 3 pounds according to the story. They found some crystal methamphetamine and put some tracking stuff in there, and didn't even wait until the guy left the post office. As soon as he had it in hand, they effected the arrest. And I thought that was interesting. Made even more interesting because it was caught on camera.
Yeah, and that already had people online on social media already coming to that conclusion. They see federal authorities or just people in police jackets and appearing like they're taking someone into custody at a busy post office at a busy street in Barragata.
At Christmas time.
What else can you think, right?
Yeah, at Christmas.
Taking them into custody for bringing in anything other than what we've seen in the news and what we've seen make the headlines recently when it comes to people trying to smuggle these alleged drugs into the island.
And we're not talking about a small amount. It's 3 pounds.
Yeah.
That's significant. That will traffic into many thousands of dollars.
I thought what was also very interesting is that he also admitted to authorities in the court documents that he had done this a few months ago and was never caught.
Yeah. Well, in my mind, that's the model here that the druggies are doing. Is they're just buying so much of it in the States. And they're just what's the word I'm looking for? They're just flooding the mail system. So even if they lose 3 pounds here, it's possible that 25 pounds, 30 pounds came in other packages that were undetected.
Right.
Yeah, just saturating the system, and we seem to be saturated with crime stories. You covered the one of the town halls that took place last night in Mongmong, huh?
Yes, that was one of the two.
Yeah, one of two, which is in my mind one of those things where it would not have been bad to coordinate the activities between Telena and Jimmy Moylan over at the legislature, and you could have done I think a better job with a bipartisan effort at information gathering.
Right.
Why they didn't, I don't know. So tell me the story of Uncle Pete. Pete had his car getting stolen.
Oh yeah, and so this is just sad news to hear, especially when it deals with an elderly couple. But you're talking about the former Department of Youth Affairs director and former Guam Education Board member, who he and his wife just returned home from a trip. They're getting their house together for the season, for the holidays, and getting things prepared for Ravennas. And they borrowed the statue of Our Lady of Fatima, and were set to return it. They had it in the car. Mr. Addick, he went in the home just for a couple of minutes, was ready to come back out, unfortunately, and he admitted at last night's town hall meeting that it was on his part that he shouldn't have left the car running, and that's something authorities always say. Usually victims of thefts, it's just they find themselves in that vulnerable state where they don't secure their belongings.
It's a crime of opportunity that some people just can't pass up. Well, I doubt they're listening to this station, but in the very least, return the statue. Otherwise, you're going to get sick and die from something terrible, because that's the way it works when you steal religious items. 8:59 and change. Wish I had more time. I'd talk to you about that teen mom who's got video of her dangling her baby over the railing. Says, I didn't commit any abuse on the kid.
You did not guilty in court yesterday.
There's what? Huh? There's video of it, lady. I just don't understand the crooks these days. 9 o'clock in the morning. Merry Christmas to you, Nick. I'll talk to you next week.
That's right.
All right, buddy. 888-8255. This is The Point.
An impeachment vote. I'm Rich Dennison. Members of the House are approaching an historic moment. Along mostly party lines, Republicans and Democrats have been arguing today in support of and opposition to impeaching President Trump. Democratic Representative Adam Schiff, chair of the House Intelligence Committee, where impeachment hearings began.
The President of the United States was willing to sacrifice our national security by withholding support for a critical strategic partner at war in order to improve his re-election prospects.
Texas Republican Congressman Louis Gohmert calling the process a travesty.
This country's end is now inside. I hope I don't live to see it.
Debate on the articles of impeachment are coming to a close, with a final vote on 2 charges, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, expected within the next 2 hours. Tonight's vote could result in President Trump becoming just the 3rd U.S. leader in U.S. history to be impeached. The Trump administration keeping an eye on today's impeachment debate. Fox's John Decker's live at the White House.
Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, giving the reaction from senior White House staff to the House vote on the 2 articles of impeachment.
So I don't think anybody is surprised today. I think the day is solemn and sad, but not quite the way that the Democrats and Speaker Pelosi are describing it. I think it's a sad, solemn day because it never should happen.
Conway spoke less than an hour before the president departed the White House on his way to Battle Creek, Michigan for a campaign rally. The president saving his reaction for his supporters later tonight. Rich?
John, police in Palm Beach are investigating an incident at President Trump's private Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. No indication yet what's prompted the investigation, and no members of the First family were at the club at the time. Some are expected to attend the holidays at the facility. America is listening to Fox News.
GRMC's cardiology department treats most complex heart problems. In our catheterization lab, cardiologists use imaging equipment to treat clogged arteries that can cause heart attacks or heart failure. We perform balloon angioplasty, stenting, and other life-saving cardiac procedures. If you suffer from a heart condition, have your provider refer you to GRMC's cardiology clinic at 645-5500. GRMC, where patients are partners.
Ever notice how that one perfect holiday gift is just out of reach? Or how sales on the stuff you want all come at the same time? This season, plan ahead with a holiday loan from First Hawaiian Bank. Now you can afford to be nice without being naughty. For more details, visit FHB.com or any branch to apply. Additional restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
A federal appeals court today upholding a lower court ruling that Obamacare's individual mandate is unconstitutional. That move sets up a likely Supreme Court showdown, which could determine whether the Affordable Care Act will be eliminated. The Trump administration is proposing a ban on claims of asylum by some immigrants.
The plan reinforces the president's belief that illegal immigrants are taking advantage of U.S. policy and staying for years, despite not being legally documented. The proposal makes a felony conviction a reason to deny asylum, as well as domestic violence arrests. Also, illegally getting public benefits, gang activity, and DUI would make immigrants ineligible. The administration says the plan allows the Justice and Homeland Security Departments to put more resources toward resolving asylum cases that are currently backlogged. The proposal must undergo a period of public comment before a final version is considered. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
A German automaker agreeing to a multi-million-dollar fine.
Mercedes-Benz agrees to a $13 million fine in a settlement with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration over the German automaker's recall reporting lapses involving 1.4 million vehicles. Allegations of notification letters being sent too slowly to owners, slow reporting to the agency, and alleged flaws with Mercedes' website that lets vehicle owners check for recalls via VIN numbers. Mercedes US says it doesn't believe it did anything wrong deliberately, and that in all cases it announced proper recalls, provided information, and started the recalls as soon as possible. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
One person was killed, several others injured in a stabbing at a suburban Portland shopping center. Police in Beaverton said the suspect in this morning's attack near a Wells Fargo bank is in custody. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
It's the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3, brought to you by APL. That's American President Lines, a global presence, and a local homes. Also being brought to you by the guys over at Wendy's, and they are celebrating a massive birthday. It's their 50th anniversary, 50th birthday for Wendy's. How are we celebrating? Free hamburgers! No, I'm kidding. Don't go there and say the guy on the radio said free hamburgers. But they do have new birthday cake flavored Frosties. Yeah, and birthday cake frosty cookie sundaes. Yeah, that sounds nice, doesn't it? Tastes like cookie as ice cream. Available only for a limited time. Happy birthday to Wendy's, and sweet treats for everybody on Guam. Get the party started at Wendy's. Now that's better.
The Ray Gibson Show.
Any speaker, anytime. Morning talk that matters.
Okay, then 6 after 9 o'clock in the morning. It's the Ray Gibson. It's Thursday. Let me just dwell on that for just a moment. It's Thursday, and Thursday is a day closer to Friday, and Friday is the commencement of the weekend. Now you've got a couple of options here for those of you, unlike me, that are more responsible about these kinds of things, or capable of putting together an agenda that includes activities other than things that bring you pleasure, i.e., shopping. Good on you. Good on you. I think it's terrific that maybe you've gotten either a good head start on your Christmas shopping, or maybe you're all done with your Christmas shopping. If not, then you know what, guys? I'll see you at the malls. I'll see you at the department stores. I'll see you at the shopping places over the next couple of days. I don't know when this is going to happen, because frankly, you know what? It's still just it's a regular weekend, and I don't know about you, but there's all kinds of partying that gets to be done. Maybe some laying out over at the beach, and we've got going to be great grill marks weather. I'm not 1,000% sure, but I've got a sense that we're going to have some awesome grill marks weather, and so I might want to do that as opposed to sitting around and doing the thing over in the shopping centers and the department stores. Besides, you guys have already bought all the cool stuff, right? That is another one of the issues that I've got when I go shopping, and I generally do panic shopping. And by the time I get around to it, all the really good stuff is somebody bought it already. Somebody bought it, and they bought the entire set, and there's nothing left for guys like me to go in. So do me a favor. You get into one of the stores and you see something cool, just leave it be. And make it so that panic shoppers like your friend Ray Gibson here on the radio can get in there and get it done. It is the 9 o'clock hour, and generally an hour that I look at and say, this is a small talk portion of the show, and there's plenty enough of headlines, and you and I have been through the conversation about what they did over at the legislature and what it is that and I got to tell you, Speaker, you're my pal. One of the first face I ever remember seeing and remembering a name attached to it. You and the other twin, and I got to tell you, the optics here don't look good. Optics don't look good. It looks like we are wielding a very heavy hammer over at the legislature, and it is making it so that people who voted for members of the body that might disagree with you, that might have a different way of doing things over at the legislature, it makes it look like you are ignoring those voters and their desires for representation inside of the body. As I say, the optics are not good here. People are going to remember this. I tell you what, and I feel I'm remiss because I haven't been reading as much as I'd wanted to from among the comments on Facebook Live. They are not supportive of you in any way, shape, or form. And when I say you, I mean you, Speaker, and I mean other members of the body, Joe S. and others that looked the other way when all of this was happening and voted along with you. Pam Duvall, her comments here this morning. That is a nice shirt. Looks good on you. I'm glad you like it.
Those are lemons, yeah?
They are in honor of the 35th Guam legislature, in honor of practically every elected position in the government of Guam. And unfortunately, this is not a good lemon. Normally, they say life gives you lemon, you make lemonades. You cannot sweeten this up with any amount of honey or saccharin or sugar or any of that stuff. It's just it ain't going to happen. But thank you very much. This is one of those Stitch Fix shirts. I told you about that, right? Many times. And I'm not going to do it here. It'd take too much time. But the Stitch Fix deal is it's a box thing, and you tell them how often you want to get your Stitch Fix, and they send you clothes. And they send you clothes based on what you say in an almost continuous survey that they do. They'll show you clothes, and you either thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah, and as an added bonus, they have someone works there from Guam.
That's right. There's Lisa Babin's daughter works over at Stitch Fix, and she is my stylist there. So I don't need to tell her the difference between winter on Guam and say the winter in San Francisco or Minnesota or Florida. We've got our own kind of style around here, and she's got a pretty good handle on it. And so apparently she thinks I like fruits in my shirts. This is not the first fruit themed shirt that I've got from her. There's one where I've got the little pineapples.
That's right.
Looks like marijuana,
shirt.
right?
Yeah.
And so I've got that. I got another one with little purple sharks on it. Anyway, it's just really cool. It says, all I need is a beer in my hand. That can be arranged. I got people here. I've got all of that. What was I going to say? Nick Verlosky saying, who's he responding to? Smug. What did Smug say? Pay your own way. Oh, the FESPAC conversation. So we've got two things that are happening over at the legislature, and like I said, I riffed on it enough. I don't want to wring that rag out too much. There's the idea that they came through. One of the first things they did was talk about putting FESPAC out there on the agenda. Tello stood up and said, no, you can't do this to us. We came in thinking we were going to talk about one measure that you've changed, and then now we're starting to do the work of the Committee on Rules and putting things up on the floor. And you know what? At some point, we're going to have to show them at the legislature what the real people on Guam are dealing with, because I swear it's beginning to feel like they live in a completely different place than we do. Go outside the back of the legislature on any given day. Go outside the back of the legislature, usually about 5:30, after sunset, when we're not food trucking outside. There's homeless people that live back there. In between the legislature and the building that Submarine is at, and there's a throughway that will take you behind the legislature over to, I want to say, Caliente. There are a number of homeless people that live back there. And if they're not there, they're wandering somewhere else in the downtown Agutnia area. We've got panhandlers on virtually all of our intersections. Flagrantly violating our laws with absolutely no hope of enforcement because the cops got other things to do. There's not enough police officers to enforce even our major crimes, so we got less of a chance to get our smaller crimes to be addressed by the police officers. I think that's a big problem. I think it's a big problem that kids at Benavente Middle School have got to run, they say, a football field length in the rain to get from one side to the other because we haven't built a walkway there that would protect them from the elements. And don't get me started on Simon Sanchez. Don't get me started on the problems that they've got, the structure problems that we know exist at Guam Memorial Hospital, and the idea that we have to wait out a report from the Army Corps of Engineers. While well-intentioned, to be sure, we already know what some of those problems are, and we ought to start finding some money to address those problems. Like, I don't know, the money that would pay for airplane tickets and uniforms and music videos and all these other things that they want to put together for FESPAC. And somebody asked me last night, so why don't you want to send people to FESPAC? I said, it's not that I don't want to send them. I don't want to pay for it. We've got problems around here, and you go ahead and you party out in Honolulu. You get out there and you have a good time, and you perpetuate our culture, and you tell them all about the Guam story, as Doris called it. That's great. Let's do that. But can you do it on your dime? Why don't you car wash, bake sale? I'll buy tickets. I'll go and watch the performances over at Jimmy D's and fundraisers that you can have over at the venue and Roots and Franny's Place.
One way they could make money really quick is a beer pong tournament.
Beer pong. Right? You know what? You know what everybody's doing these days? Everybody is doing trivia.
That's right.
It seems like every club on Guam has got some kind of trivia night going. And so have a couple of those, and we'll charge you an entry fee to participate in our trivia challenge. And then at the end of the trivia challenge, we'll give you a prize, that we got donated by somebody. People will show up, pay you $5 a head.
Yeah, and there's also cornhole, which is kind of what happened to us yesterday.
I like that. All right, so 9:15 in the morning. It's the Ray Gibson Show, as I've been saying. There's a story, and if you don't mind, this may be one of those things where I just kind of look over a pile of stuff that I've got in front of me that I've been wrestling with over the last couple of days. I mean, every piece of paper here, and there's a big stack of them, represents some kind of story that I have not riffed on. Don't do that, Dennis. I see what you're doing there, Dennis Bensour. You just want to get me started on the JFK fence. Yeah. See, he actually wrote it down. What about the JFK fence? You're just egging me on. You're an enabler. You're an enabler there, Dennis. That's what you're up to. You just want to get me riffing on the god-awful, butt-ugly chain-link fence. We've got zillions of tourists that are coming to Guam, and they all come out of the airport, and they make that turn. They make that northward turn. And right there over yonder by the Boy Scouts and the Shell gas station is the erection of a fence whose sole purpose, the sole purpose of the fence, was to prevent students from John F. Kennedy bolting across and into traffic to get to their cars and the Little Caesars Pizza over at the Kmark. And so they put up a fence. Because God help us, we don't have the temerity to tell children what they can and cannot do. We don't have the manpower to have somebody standing at the gate at John F. Kennedy telling students not to play in traffic. And apparently we had a problem with students that attended that school that didn't know you weren't supposed to play in traffic. Maybe if you mention it to them every once in a while. But no. Don't. There was supposed to be a police Koban there. If you pass by JFK now, there is a little piece of construction that they were supposed to do there, and that was supposed to be a police Koban. And can you imagine the powers that be at the time? Our knee-jerk legislature decided that they weren't going to allow for a police Koban on high school property. They didn't want to do that because they thought it would stigmatize the students having a police facility on the property.
I see. Yeah, back when we were kids.
God, they were stupid. Jeez.
Back when we were kids, if we were to step out into traffic, it was called natural selection.
Yes. You get what's coming to you. Bit natural is, as Grandma would say, that's what you get. If you're too dumb to understand that you're not supposed to run out into traffic. And now, if you don't want the kids running out into traffic, then put up a fence on the school. Put up the fence over there. Or better yet, maybe they have these all over. You go to Vegas, and they don't spend a lot of time crossing the roadway in Vegas. And there's a major highway that runs right down the middle of the city. And so in order to make it so that people don't run out into traffic, they've got railing. Number one, they've got a rail on the sidewalk that would prevent you from lurching into traffic. And when you do get to an intersection or about halfway through a block, they've got a set of stairs that goes up and goes across the street. And for, I'll bet you, less than $1 million, we could build one of those that would help the students and the visitors crossing the road. I would put one in between Mesclados and that police station, and that police station across the street to Kmart. That's how I do it. It'd be like a little L bracket that we throw in there. Now, I remember talking to at least one member of the legislature that thought, yeah, it's a good idea, but it just doesn't look tropical. It would block the view. You mean it would block the view like the god-awful, butt-ugly chain-link fence blocks the view? The way it makes it look like the one good entryway from the airport to our pleasure center here on Guam looks like a prison because we've got that god-awful, butt-ugly chain-link fence. And with seeming regularity, there will be a drunk guy that will take out a section of the fence from time to time. So even in its current form, it doesn't do what it was put there to do. The kids have now it's got to be, what is it, 50 feet, you think? Between the start of the island and where the chain link fence actually is?
Oh, sure. Yeah, at least that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you go by there at the end of school today, you're going to see the kids running out into traffic to get to their cars over at Kmart because the fence doesn't really exist there. It's just it's ugly right up to the part where it's supposed to work, and then it's not there. 9:19 in the morning. See what you did, Dennis? To be honest, Ray, we could do a bridge, but they would say something like it would be too expensive, like always. We can't put a fence. We can't find the money to put a set of stairs out there. Just, for heaven's sakes.
One thing to
note.
How
are we going to get to FESPAC? How will we get to go to the United Nations?
That's true.
How will we go on our junkets? Who is going to play softball?
Yeah. Because of the type of road that Marine Corps Drive is designated as, you would actually have to create a very high structure because that's the main road.
No, that's fine. No, I got it. There's.
What about underground? Under the road.
Oh, underground would be sweet.
See, then you don't have any of these problems that they're talking about. You have no blockage. The kids can go through. Everybody can go through.
Yeah, but it's going to smell like pee. I think eventually it'd smell like pee.
And other things.
Yeah. Anyway, 9:20 in the morning, 888-8255-888-TALK. If you want to chime in on something. What's that? Marie Fergerger says, especially those who need medical care off-island because, our hospital is in a shambles away. FESPAC is more important. You know what? I'm telling you, Maria, it falls on deaf ears. All of this stuff falls on deaf ears. They listen over at the legislature, and I think they get a great big laugh how everybody seems to take some kind of offense to whatever it is that they're doing over there. And they blow off voters the same way that some of these crooks blow off judges. maybe that's the way we ought to look at this, right? I told you the story about and I think there's another one in today's news where there's somebody's in trouble because I'll find it. The guy is in trouble because he was just sentenced and he still has not made it to go to the courts. Where is that story? Oh man. I hate it when that happens. It might have been something that I printed out, but it's the criminals. They go before the judges, and the judges say, "Go forth and sin no more." And the first thing they do is they, number one, violate the terms of their probation. They are taking drugs and peeing dirty, and they don't show up for any of their probie meetings, and they aren't filling in the required reports, and they aren't going to their drug programs and things like that, right? So they just here's the judge telling them what to do, and they blow them off. Just absolutely blow these judges off. And it's the same thing I think with the senators. Here we are, we're talking about all of this stuff and things that we'd like to see prioritized over at the legislature, and they're blowing us off.
Yeah, most of them probably go directly from the courtroom to the dealer's house.
I got you. Yeah, exactly. Where's my dealer when I need him? Because, the stress of going to court.
Yeah, it's
got to be crazy. Anyway, there's this story here. The first satellite launches, Pacific's first satellite launches will stream high-speed broadband to Asia and the Pacific. It's owned by the Pacific Broadband Satellites Group. A Boeing-built communication satellite will stream high-speed broadband to 25 nations in Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands via 56 high-throughput beams. I'm wondering if this is part of something that they talked about years ago. And I'd have to see if I could get some more information from this outfit on exactly what it is that they do and how many more of these they're going to be doing. There was a time back in the late 80s, early 90s, as the internet was beginning to take a little bit more form. And there were concerns about how all of that data, voice data, data, was going to be moved around. You got a bunch of different ways that you can do it. You can do it with the high-flying satellites. And that's good if you're in the footprint of the satellite. Well, Guam and this part of the Pacific generally wasn't in those footprints for a long time. And then they said, well, we can do fiber, which is cool, and underwater fibers. And there's still a whole lot of that goes on. And a number of companies, we've talked about the opportunities and the faster and faster speeds and the higher bandwidth that is coming out with all of that. But one of the ideas that they had back in the early days would have been satellites, but they wouldn't be way up there satellites. They would be low Earth orbit, LEO satellites is what they called them, and they would all be connected. It would be a network of them, and I love the fancy way that we had a guy talk about this at Rotary. The fancy way that they were talking about it. So they referred to it as a necklace around the planet. Around the equator, just a necklace of these low Earth orbit satellites, all talking to each other and all passing along information in both directions. So I thought that was very, very cool. I don't know whatever happened to it. I don't know if that consortium existed or whether they came up with another plan. But it's nice to see that somebody is still thinking about Asia and the Pacific region, little islands out there that will never ever be connected by a fiber to anything. It'd be nice to be able to link up with a satellite and see what's going on. Another story here: House passes spending bill with $127 million worth of Medicaid funding for Guam. We spoke to Mike Sinicolas on this very subject yesterday, and as you might have heard me riff on this a little bit earlier today, I was wondering how the administration was going to downplay, because they can't ignore it. They cannot ignore the idea that there has been some work in Congress in a spending bill that they're going to work on the next little bit that would provide sharper reductions in Guam's matching contributions to Medicaid. Now, it's my view that these matching contributions now are so low as to just be enough to cover the administration. Right, so we're going to send money. We're going to be sending checks out. We got staff. We got our own internal agency infrastructure to deal with. So how about 17 cents of every dollar, right? And that'll cover writing the checks and putting them in envelopes and sending them out to you. So it sounds like we've gotten it down to the absolute bare minimum to participate with Medicaid, and then that gets us closer to being able to use all of the money that's available, $127 million. So multiply, 17 and 17 cents and $172 million and figure out what that threshold is going to be. And I think by Mike's calculations, it would have ended up to have been something on the order of about $22 million or something like that is all it would cost us to give us access to $127 million. And that will take care of a whole lot of people and their medical needs here on Guam as part of the Medicaid program. But
you could just about build a new hospital for that much.
Well, in the very least, we might be able to fix an electrical panel. Might be able to call the guys at the elevator company and say, "Hey, let's fix all of this at once."
Get up! It's Jesus Day.
Just get a little bit more money into the coffers of Guam Memorial Hospital and other health facilities. And other health facilities at that. But like I said, the question that I had was, I wonder how this is going to get dealt with over at the legislature. And they put out a one-page press release yesterday, and everybody in the world was thanked except Mike Nicholas. They talk about bipartisan support here and the other great territories that lined up and spoke with a common united voice, a common tongue in Washington, D.C., and we got the work of the people done.
They could have at least given him a sentence and said, "Hey, and by the way, thanks to the other dude in Washington." Or something.
Yeah.
You don't have to give his name.
Not a thing. It's just so funny how small some of the thinking is. Just, what is it? You see it every once in a while. It's a quote from, I think, Ronald Reagan, where he says, "It's amazing how much can get done when nobody is demanding credit for the job that gets done." Mike sent the thing out, said, "Yeah, I've been working on it," and it wouldn't have been. It would not have been done without Mike, as the story is told. He told us yesterday, it would not have been done had Mike not been able to work with new friends that he made in Puerto Rico, because Puerto Rico would have done something else. I mean, they're big guys among the territories. They could have taken it in a whole nother direction that might not have favored us. But Mike said he was able to convince them to stand down on any forward movement on that, and we were able to get this thing down and the cap's up. So, like I said, I think Mike deserves the credit for it, but you'll never, ever, ever, ever hear that out of Adelup or the legislature. Construction of the site of Don Quixote's store is ready to get started. I may today drive by there, because that's usually my route home, going through Teedson. I might just pull the car over and walk around, see what they've got. Now, Jerry Roberts says there's nothing but dirt right now. And he's probably right. He says it was cleared off many, many years ago, and they put a Target golf course there, par 3 course, that sat on that space for a while. My friends Dave and his team put together a showroom for the units that eventually became the towers in Tamuning. That was, if you wanted to see if they were going to look like, they actually had mock-ups of the spaces. Nice. And I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was very well done. And then that eventually went away. So what else is back there? I mean, and they've taken the foundation of that out. So, I mean, it's going to be kind of interesting to watch the construction of what is supposed to be just the Don Quixote store. But, man, that's a lot of real estate that they're plowing under for just a store. So I'm wondering what else is going to be going in there. As people saying that we ought to put a couple of coffee shops in there.
Well,
I'm thinking buy me drinky bars and the little karaoke places, right?
You took the words right out of my mouth.
You need to have that kind of. But I will tell you this, and anybody that's ever been in one of these Don Quixote stores will note that you can buy practically anything in there. It will remind some of you of the old Acme store in Antigua. Little store, big bargains was the theme of that place. And is it the Acme store I'm thinking of? No, Acme's across the way. What's the name of the store I'm thinking of? Big store, little bargains. Little store, big bargains. Not too far away from where the tire place is. Come on, somebody on Facebook Live knows, and all you got to do is type it in and
I know Acme is where the Coyote used to get all his
Exactly. And just for fun, just spend a little bit of time and Google Acme and see where that comes from. Because as far as I know, there's never actually been a big conglomerate called Acme.
No.
It was the name.
I'm sure the guys that came up with it actually means something to them.
Smug's got it. Lujan's. It was Lujan's store. And I remember going into Lujan's when I was a little kid and just fascinated with some of the stuff they had in there. And Rooster says, "Oh, I loved Acme, and some of you will remember that at Luhan's they had a minor bird in there, and the minor bird could talk, so it was great. So you'd go by there and try to get it to say bad words, because it's a minor bird and they do that kind of thing." 9:31 in the morning, and get ready. Thanks, Pat. You're right. It's Luhan's. Thanks. Everybody with a better memory than me, and that's nice. But it's nice to have those memories, isn't it? Of downtown Agania and Anigua, the way it used to be. Every once in a while, I'd driving northbound Marine Corps Drive, and I passed by Vince Jewelers and the mobile station down there, and remember when there used to be Sargosi's was back there, and I was mentioning that to somebody yesterday. Sargosi's was the pizza joint on Guam when I was a kid, and you could go into Sargosi's, and I want to say that you could order one of about 4 different recipes of pizza that they had there, and they had Coke dispensers. Actually, probably not Coke dispensers as much as you want a Coke. Here's a bottle and a glass of ice and a bottle opener, and that's your Coke. You remember the old Coca-Cola bottles?
The classic dispenser.
Yeah, and in my it probably wasn't that long, but my recollection is it took a long time to get the pizza out. But maybe that's just because I was a little kid and time seemed to take forever to do pretty much anything. Yeah. But it seemed to me it was one of those places where you didn't go when you were in a hurry to eat. But once that pizza came out, oh my God, that was good.
Yeah, most pizza places,
almost tasted. Yeah, it was a family-run business,
Yeah.
which was the cool thing about it. It was a family-run business, and the other old-timers will remember that they had wine jugs. The old-fashioned kind of wine jugs with the wrapping around it. The not cork, but I don't know, so whatever the plant material. God, I can't remember that. I'm having a hard time with words. They're coming out of my mouth, but they're not the ones I'm looking for. And they'd put a candle on top of it, and they'd let the candle drip down, and they just did that. And eventually, they'd hang them up on the ceilings. These things just loaded with candle wax. It's amazing. The place didn't burn to the ground, isn't it? 9:32. Mike says I got to take a break here, so we'll step out of this warm bath of nostalgia and get back to you in a second. iConnect time is 9:32. Swing by and ask them about saving you all kinds of money. Mobile, internet, push-to-talk plans, they got them all at iConnect.
Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro brings you island hospitality with a true taste of modern Chamorro cuisine. A bistro look that feels like home. Their menu features local and traditional flavors with a twist. From their famous Calaguan Hafa to fresh ahi poke salad and their award-winning barbecue ribs. Mescla takes your favorite local dishes and serves them with extra flair that you'll only find at Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Stop by their newest location in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. For reservations, call 969-2652. Mescla, a true taste of Guam.
Water. It covers nearly 3/4 of our Earth. From vast oceans to millions of rivers and streams, we're all concerned with protecting our world's water. But none is more important than the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve your water so that your family is using the best water in the world. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. A passion for improving lives through better water.
The Minor Bird. Everybody remembers the Minor Bird. Lady D online says, I used to try to get the Minor Bird to talk while waiting for the car parts next door. Nick says it's old Chianti bottles that they had up there. And Jared says the same thing. Chianti bottles that they had. Can you still get that? With the old style wine thing looked like it come out of an Italian Godfather movie. Do they still have that kind of thing?
I'm sure somebody makes it.
Rudy Magallanes. I used to go to school at Adelup when it was an elementary school. Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it? I love Luhan's with the bird, plus I loved Acme when I used to live in downtown Agutney. I used to live next to the bowling alley, right next to the Goodyear tire place once upon a time, and the name of the bowling alley, I believe, was Playland Bowl. And the idea was, trying to remember, whose bowling alley was that? There's another question. Somebody, was it Mark's? Was it a Pangolinan bowling alley? because I want to say they own a bunch of property down there. But at any rate, it didn't last forever, and eventually became a furniture store once upon a time. 9:35, and that is going to be interesting, and that stems from a conversation about old-time living here on Guam and what was in those places that we're pushing the jungle back a little bit further these days. And the big question that I have that came up in the conversation when Jerry Roberts and I was talking about it was what's going to happen with traffic down in that part of town. It's also it is already bad there, generally around drive time, and it's starting earlier and earlier these days. 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, northbound Marine Corps Drive traffic. You get into some of that, and it just takes you forever to get past that intersection. And one lane of traffic, and it will jam up. There's only so much room between the airport and Marine Corps Drive, and it will jam up. And we've got people, bridging the intersection. And if you might be waiting on your light to turn green when you're making that left turn onto 10A, but while you're sitting there waiting, you got all of this other traffic that's coming from the oncoming lane onto that road, generally blocking you off. So they're going to need to seriously consider widening that roadway at the same time that they're doing construction. I would hope that there are plans to do exactly that, but I don't think they're going to be able to get access to the land to be able to widen it up. I mean, frankly, if they could, they probably already would have once upon a time.
Yeah, and I was about to say that, access to 10A from that particular spot, you can't do it right there where it is because that's too close to the traffic light. So I think you're probably going to have to, at least in the short term, eliminate left turns out of the Don Quixote shopping area.
Yep.
And so you either exit that area on Marine Corps Drive, or you have to drive up into Teats and then make the UE and come back or something.
So that's
not going to make things.
Well, and here's what this is what's likely to happen, because this is the kind of luck that we have around here. It will happen just around the same time that DPW is going to be working on the roadway from the ITC building all the way up to the Archbishop Circle. That's becoming a problem. Already, number one, they don't have the manpower, and nobody's bid on that project yet. But they still kind of got to get that done. Is what's going on. And there's a whole lot of that work that needs to get done. They're going to be doing new lights and pedestrian lanes and bike lanes and things like that between there and the ITC building. And like I said, I'm of the opinion that that's what's going to happen. Is it will happen all simultaneous. So when we've got Carmageddon on Talon San Antonio, we're also going to have Carmageddon on Marine Corps Drive. There may come a time soon, kids, where we just ain't going to drive in Tamuning anymore. Just find a way around it. You don't need to go to Tamuning. Don't go to Tamuning. 20 away from the top of the hour, 888-825-888-TALK. Oh, this is interesting. John De La Rosa is on the line. He's representing Guam Community College. And is today the day that you guys are going to do that, the signing of the MOA, the Memorandum of Agreement, John?
Yes, it is. We're actually in about 20 minutes.
Ah, very good. Okay, so we got you in time. John De La Rosa from GCC, who are striking out with the University of Guam on a memorandum that should be really, really good news to students of both facilities. Tell me how this is going to work, John.
So right now, we some of our courses, about 50 of our courses will articulate directly to UOG, right? So if you go to school at GCC, you take your basic ed courses and some of your direct track courses. You go to UOG, you show it to them, they'll accept you, and you enroll. So that's normally how it works.
Yeah.
With the new MOA, it's specific for computer sciences right now, but we hope it's the first of many. What it'll do is it's almost like you've enrolled in both. So you take your all your associate's degree courses for computer sciences at GCC.
Yeah.
Then you go to UOG, and they take all of it. So long as they're the agreed computer science track courses, they'll accept all of them.
Okay.
And you go right in, and you just take, if you want to get your bachelor's, you just go on and take the remaining courses. Gotcha.
But it's I don't want to say it. We're not transferring credits, though, right?
No. The credits are still GCC credits, but what they've agreed to is they looked at the courses that we offer, and they said, okay, they're just like the ones we offer at UOG. So you don't have to bring them in and prove it. With the track will just be, say you're graduating from high school, you want to go and get your computer science degree.
Yeah.
but you
So
want
you start over at GCC, you get your Cisco certification or whatever, and then you continue with the programs that exist at the University of Guam.
Right. Well, you actually leave here with an associate's degree, go over there and get your bachelor's.
I got it. Okay, a little bit clearer in my head, but I see what's going on now. Why is an MOA needed on something like this? Why do you need to establish that memorandum? What would be the difference for me just going to GCC, getting my AA, and then going to UOG? Where does how is my life going to change drastically because we've got an MOA?
Then you can actually come to GCC knowing that all your credits will transfer. So you take all of your first 2 years here, and then you know you're going to transfer over. What happens right now is you take your courses, then you have to take your transcripts over there. They review them, and they say, okay, these 14 courses we can take, these 4 we can't. You have to retake those courses.
Okay, all right. So it lubricates the process a little bit and gets me to my terminal degree faster.
Yes,
I got it.
And so it's now for computer sciences, but once we get through this and we work out all the bugs, we hope that it actually works for our LPM program, any of the other programs where you want to go almost immediately from an associate's to a bachelor's.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what else comes up. I mean, the computer sciences has always kind of fascinated me, and one of the things that I constantly tell parents of young people is if your kids haven't made up their mind, 17, 18 years old, what they're going to be doing, get them enrolled in a certification course over at GCC. You guys have had a great computer program for many, many years, and you have the capability of issuing certificates specifically with Cisco computing platforms and networking platforms, which is the state of the art. And guys, I tell you what, you get a kid with a Cisco certificate, they can work anywhere on the planet.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And a lot of our graduates are working at our telecoms, GTA, all of the major providers today.
Oh, I agree.
And what we're doing right now is we're actually building an entire cybersecurity track. You can come in and get certified in cybersecurity. So that's the next step forward.
Yeah, they need that over at the where's that place? Solid Waste Management. John, I appreciate your time. Keep sending me those press releases because I think it's interesting what Mary, as usual, is up to over at GCC.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for the time, Rick.
Not a problem. Merry Christmas to you and the family. 888-825-5888-TALK. Now, what I was going to say was, John, I got to let you go. I got a bigger name on line 2, and the bigger name on line 2 is former Governor Eddie Jerome Bozacalva. Good morning, Eddie.
Merry Christmas greetings to you, Ray, and to your listening audience.
Merry Christmas to you as well. And people have asked me, what is the former governor up to? And the answer that I gave him at least last week was he was out taking his beautiful wife and his beautiful daughter out to lunch at Touré the last time that I saw you guys. But I didn't really have a chance to buddy up with you. Really, literally, what have you been doing? I mean, it's a warehouse over at MidPac. What's going on?
Well, I got kind of two hats in the business community. I'm the president of PMC Investments, which are basically the businesses owned by the Poem Calvo family.
And by the way, your dad is looking terrific. I love, your sister has been taking such great pictures and videos of your old man and putting them up on Facebook, and I swear it's just like being in the house.
So I'm blessed, and all of my brothers and sisters and our kids and the great grandchildren, because I've got two parents, both alive, both healthy, and we're just enjoying our family times all together. I have an opportunity 2 or 3 times a week to just drive my dad around wherever he wants to go.
Isn't that great?
So, it's terrific.
Yeah. Well, and he still looks like he's got everything still wired. So I imagine you guys must be having some great conversations and great things to think about to keep the family businesses in motion.
Oh, yeah. So, again, I got some of my work is split up between PMC Investments and the other Calvo Enterprises, where I'm a vice president at a board of directors.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's not true what I heard that you were doing warehouse work for your cousins.
Hey, I do a little bit of gardening and golfing, too, so I'm enjoying that. And just spending a lot more time with the family.
Well, I know that was one of the things that you were looking forward to when you stepped down as governor of Guam. So interesting things that you've got in front of you, including now an opportunity to work with other leaders in the Asia-Pacific region, including Doris Flores Brooks, Dave Cohen, and Ahmad Wagon. Congratulations on your nomination or your appointment.
Thank you so much. I'm excited. I haven't had a chance to give my congratulations to Doris as well. When you see this, a 15-member commission, and you have 2 individuals from Guam, 2 Chamorros, to me, this is, first of all, a compliment and thanks to the Trump administration for, when you talk about Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders within the United States population and demographic, for just 2 representatives from Guam on the membership of this commission gives us really, in terms of proportion and in terms of our input, a very large percentage of the input of Guam. So I'm excited about working with Doris and other members of the commission on focusing on issues in regards to Guam, the Mariana Islands, and the Pacific Islands as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, having been the governor of Guam, you've got a lot of input. You've got the basis to be able to speak with authority on some of the issues that we are facing out here. Compact migration. Some would say that among the other issues are things like climate change and how it might be affecting other islands in the Pacific, and how there may be economic and environmental refugees that will be moving around if there is a lot more by way of submerging islands with the climate change.
Yeah, and there's a myriad of issues that focusing on Guam and the Pacific Islands, and I think it's a critical time. I don't know if you saw that. There was an NBC news story just the day before yesterday, and of course you had the president of the FSM being feted at the Great Hall of the People by President Xi.
Yes, in fact, I mentioned that. I talked about that. Yeah, there's a lot going on in the hood, as it were. The Compacts of Free Association are up for renewal in 2023, and while they are talking to the United States, they recognize that they're the pretty island girl at the ball, and are also flying around all kinds of other places, including the People's Republic of China, to see if there might be some interesting offers from those guys.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, what has made the Pacific an American lake has been, of course, the Mariana Islands, but also the whole the original trusteeship of which is now 3 nation states, Federated States of Micronesia, Marshall Islands, and Palau. This is of utmost importance to the great powers. And if you look at China and what they're trying to do to rule our brothers and sisters in our sister island neighbors, it also brings to the forefront the importance that the United States looks into this region. And I think that's a pretty good bargaining chip for us, being American soil, being the closest piece of America to Asia.
Yep.
And with that, when it comes to the issues that are so important to Guam and the Northern Marianas, bringing these issues up to the forefront within this advisory commission to the president. I'm excited about it.
No, I'm glad. If for no other reason, gives you something else to do. Hey, you got a couple of minutes between now and the top of the hour. I just got a couple of other questions for you. One of them is, what are your thoughts on the current political environment here on Guam? It seems to be a lot of conversation. I mean, certainly I'm exposed to it, and I think to some degree I'm driving some of the conversation, because we had a $1 billion budget for 2019, you'll recall, and I'm looking back over the year, and I'm trying to figure out what good was accomplished with that $1 billion. You have the same opinion here?
Well, it's great. You know what? Now, after 8 years of being in the hot seat, it's great being an armchair quarterback.
Yes.
So one of the things, without, again, I don't want to stick my, I am a former governor. So it's important for me to understand I'm a constituent. But at the same time, there have been people elected into office, both the executive branch and in the legislature. But I do want to bring words. When I was leaving, I remember going to your office. I mean, to your radio station, and looking forward to the future, putting some words of caution. And I don't know if you recall it. One of the things that was whether you consider it, depending on whatever the perspective, a good situation or a negative situation, was that you had differing parties in control of different branches of government. You had a Republican administration, and you had a Democratic majority in the legislature. And obviously it made for great headlines in terms of there was always some issue that was being brought up that made it interesting because of what at times a very adversarial relationship.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, the policy fistfights between your office and certainly B.J. Cruz's speakership over at the legislature. But that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, when Felix was the governor, he had to contend with Defunto Ben Pangilinan. But there has to be loyal opposition, and what we've got here is we got the people, as you point out, in the same parties. What I believe should have been the most productive year in the history of our island since Paul Calvo was the governor has turned out to be kind of a disappointment.
And then that's what my caution was, because now for the first time in many years, you have one party in control of two branches of government, and if it's a harmony of interest in the best interest of the people, fine. And that's what's good. If you have, you take this two-party system out and partisan politics out of it.
Yeah.
If it is in the best interest of the people. But if there is an agenda that is to the best interest of one party, or those that have an agenda within that party that are in harmony, that may not be in the best interest of the people, it was so important to have a loyal opposition in the minority, be it a super minority in the legislature, but an even more scrupulous press.
Yes.
When it comes, to me, I had my issues with talk shows and with the news, obviously, but it was healthy.
Well, we're the fifth. We are the fifth estate, and I was critical of you as well. I'd say water under the bridge, and I think we were friends before. We'll always be friends. Exactly. But if I thought I saw something or felt something that the administration was doing that I didn't think was in my best interest as a taxpayer, as a citizen, I'm obligated to point it out. And so I'm the process continues. Felix didn't like me when he was the governor either, but we're buddies now.
I never took it. In politics, you never take it personally.
Absolutely.
But that's your job.
Yeah.
And your job as a talk show host or reporter. One of the things I caution, because I tell you may be one of the few media that where there is more scrutiny. The danger now is when you have either a loyal opposition minority party that is not as vocal, or you have a you said the fifth estate, where you have the news media, and they are not fulfilling their obligations to the people in terms of ensuring that there is no conflicts of interest with the ruling party.
Yep. Oh yeah, we just lost the governor. Don't know if we're going to be able to get him back. We needed to take a break anyway, but it was interesting the road that he was headed down in that conversation, was it not? Here's the deal, guys: is we've got the harmony of interests, and to the degree that there are people in the governor's office and people in the legislature, and specifically in the speaker's office, that are a little too chummy these days, if you ask me. 9:53 in the morning. I'm going to take a quick break. Come right back. See you in a minute.
The holiday season is here, and it gives us pause to reflect on the abundance of 2019 and to express our gratitude for Guam, the island we call home, and to all Guamanians. Our team here at Security Title is proud of the work we do to support ourselves and our families, to serve and care for our customers, and to give back to our community. May this season of joy and the new year bring happiness, good health, and prosperity to you and yours. Merry Christmas from all of us at Security Title.
Cocoa Coffee Company is now available at Circle K. Single origin coffee beans carefully sourced and locally roasted to give you the freshest cup of coffee Guam has to offer. Grab a cup that's brewed every 30 minutes or purchase a bag of the locally roasted whole beans. Flavors now serving: light medium roasted Ethiopia and medium dark roasted Jamaican Blue Mountain. Exclusively available at Circle K. With every Cocoa Coffee Company purchase, a portion of the proceeds will go towards the Cocoa Recovery Program.
Hey, it's nice getting together with Governor Eddie Calvo. Was using the excuse. I need to, yeah, there you go. Using the excuse of his appointment to the Asia and Pacific Islanders Commission at the White House, using that as an excuse to get him back on the line and start talking a little bit more about current events and what he is seeing in the legislature. Let me just cut to an easier question, one that doesn't require so much background. It's something that's a little bit more prospective. As a member of the Republican Party, sort of, the question that I have, Gov, is how is the Republicans going to get Adelup back? You think there's a possibility that the Republicans might be able to return to a majority position over at the legislature and put some common sense back to work?
And again, going into the same vein of what I was talking about, the loyal opposition, I think it's important that now where you do have this supermajority of the Democratic Party, and you have the same party in control of the executive branch, we need those in the Republican minority to be the loyal opposition, to ensure that there's checks and balances within the government is in the total control of the Democratic Party. And with that, some stars will shine. And so when you talk about Adelup and a Republican governor in the future, or the prospects of it, it has a lot to do with those now in positions of responsibility that they fulfill their roles. And you know what? If a Republican leader, and whether it's currently in the legislature or in other areas, can make a statement and show that they are fighting for the interests of the people, then when come election time and he or she presents himself to the people, then that is an opportunity to either have a Republican supermajority or majority in the legislature, a Republican congressman or woman, or a governor in the 2022 election.
Yeah. Well,
as simple as that.
Yeah. Well, so who do we identify here? One of the things that were the prospects, and it's common that there have been divisions in the Republican Party. I mean, if we could really unite the party again, I'd love to find a candidate that could run with Mary Camacho Torres, and let her carry the standard back over to Adelup. I don't know that the lieutenant governor, a pretty lieutenant governor face or pretty lieutenant governor name is going to be required, but if we've got a Torres that is holding the mantle to Adelup, as well as a Calvo, you get a Camacho-crat and a Calvo-crat, I think that would be unstoppable. I think that'd be unbeatable.
Well, this is what happens with it right now. You mentioned Senator Torres. She is a part of the legislature, and she's a part of the loyal opposition. It's important for her, as well as the other senators, to show that they've got the gumption to fight for the best interest of the people.
Yeah.
And especially in areas where we believe there are abuses coming from the Democratic control of this government, it's important for her, as well as also those in the Republican leadership within the island, to work with their constituents to build a drive, and a drive for a majority or for leadership in either in a congressional or in a gubernatorial race. All
right, a couple of thoughts with just about a minute and a half to go on the radio. What are you thinking of Troy Torres and Candid News these days? Hello. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. We've been having a couple of phone issues here for a couple of hours here today, and I think that might have been the last gremlin that got. Don't bother trying to get him back. Mike, yeah, don't bother. We'll just leave that as let that sleeping dog lie. And maybe we'll get another opportunity to talk to him again. I think now that he is a former governor and now a statesman and a member of the business community, it might be high time to put him on our list of guys that we go to for opinions. Same way I talk to my Uncle Robert once a week about opinions. Maybe we can start reaching out to him on a more regular basis again, with us being friendly and all. At 10 o'clock in the morning, with childhood friends, as a matter of fact, at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I think that's going to be it for the day. Lots to get to, and we got Bob Klitsky. He might riff a little bit on Sargosi's and the outdoor movies that they used to run once upon a time, and places that I won't remember from back in the day. Can you imagine sitting in a warm bath of nostalgia with Bob Klitsky? Maybe some of that this afternoon on Tall Tales. The radio station is KUSG, getting you 93.3. We are The Point. See you tomorrow.
This is a Fox News alert, the impeachment of a president. I'm Rich Dennison. The House expected to vote soon whether to impeach President Trump.